Hi everybody. Hi everybody. Welcome to when the Mirsa is when.
This is a great start so far.
Today we're going to talk about an Amazon series that is honestly, in my opinion, like super overrated. It's a superhero. It's like an edgy superhero gore fest. Fucking, and that would be Invincible. We're talking about Invincible today.
No, don't just Invincible like that. Don't do that.
Even I am
that.
not that much of a contrarian. Invincible is amazing. No, we're talking about its ugly stepsister, The Boys.
Yeah.
The Boys. By the way, Trunk, I'm gonna turn Trunk up because you're quiet. Because you're a little.
This should be. I don't know. This should be normal if that helps.
Okay, so I know that intro probably already made some of the Boys fans mad, so I should probably go on record and say I for a while I've been a fan of this show since like a little bit since before season 3 came out, but after season 2 had already finished. So that period there while waiting for season 3 was kind of when I became a fan. And yeah, I mean, where do we want to start? I guess we could start with like comic book media, because that's usually the beginning of every discussion over The Boys is, hey, are you guys tired of comic book shit? Are you tired of Marvel? Are you tired of the DCEU? Well, you should check out this show called The Boys. It's like Watchmen, but not as good, but like it's something else.
Yeah, it's something else. Okay. We should probably establish that this is based off a comic from Garth Ennis. You probably know him as the guy who made Preacher.
More like Fart Penis.
Yeah, and he just made and he basically hates superheroes. Like,
oh yeah, no, he is the biggest superhero hater. If you ever said you hate the MCU or the DCEU, you do not hate it nearly as much as this man.
Yeah, he made a comic that is just the message of the Boys comic is that superheroes are cringe. Because, he'll just turn, any superhero, but it's got this, damning flaw. Oh, Martian Manhunter, but he's a fucking degenerate or something.
Professor Xavier, but he's a pedophile. It's
inspired.
Okay, so I think the thing is that, it's made as a response to superhero tropes. And when Garth Ennis made his comic, it gave me the same energy as all of those terrible fucking parodies of what if Mario stepped on a Goomba and then blood came out of its head.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal a joke from Pointless Hub. It basically is this guy goes on comedy night, steps up to the stand and just says the N-word.
Yeah, I don't know. The comic is the biggest, edgiest fucking thing. And so the TV show changed a lot. And I get why. It's, a lot of what was in the comic just will not fly on television. It was as vulgar and as raunchy as possible in the worst possible. Have you read the comic, Trunk?
No. I've looked over some of it, some of the discussions on it, but I've not read the comic itself.
I tried to read it. I really couldn't get that far. There is something I'm going to commend to the point where I had read. I eventually stopped and then just read a summary of the rest of the plot. But at a point in this review, I'm going to give it props for something it actually does do better than the show. But that is way, way towards the end of the video. So we're going to wait on that.
Okay.
So I guess what was y'all's interest? I mean, I showed this. I got obsessed with the show back when season 3 had dropped, and that's when I showed it to Salt here.
Yep.
We watched it together, and it was hype. It was fun. We had a grand old time. We were excited for season 4. Spoiler alert, not to poison the well. We both did not like season 4 very much, but We were fans of the show up until that point, so
Yeah,
you
I
know.
was extremely disappointed by season 4. And I thought like it was gonna be a palate cleanser because we were reading a really, really garbage manga at the time.
It kind of still was a palate cleanser. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Yeah, but like it still though not enough.
Either way, like I got into the show purely, like literally, I didn't even know about it until I saw a meme that someone had posted where it was like listing off a bunch of media that I liked, Watchmen, Invincible, Birdman, and then it had a fourth one, The Boys. And of course the joke, it was making fun of how like, oh, these are all just like comic books bad. But the fourth one I didn't recognize. I was like, what the fuck is that? And it was called The Boys. And then they told me it's The Boys. It's really good. Go check it out. And of course, at this point, it had like 2 seasons. So I did. And I thought it was fine. Like, I thought season 1 was really, really good. And then season 2 was like, it wasn't like offensive or anything. It was okay. Like, not as good as season 1, but like, it was fine for what it was. So I didn't really get obsessed until like season 3.
I had no idea what this show was until like at the end of season 3 when Gabe like, oh hey, we're gonna go watch The Boys. Like, what the fuck is that?
He mostly knew it through pop culture osmosis, like memes.
Yeah, like I did see this one like Homelander face. Like I have seen that. I just did not know what that was from.
How did you discover the show Trunk?
Honestly, I don't recall the specific, like, I think I probably would have seen some hints of like, oh, this is coming up or something and paid too much attention to it. But I ended up, because I don't usually have like the, Prime types stuff, and I don't have, and I'm just not typically super interested in going out of my way to like torrent something, just very lazy in that regard. But there was like either somebody I knew had, I think like we had already seen Invincible, and then that was like like on something that was available to watch. Like let's try this out, and it was interesting. You gave some impressions of initial quality, and I think that's I think on average I would say that it's like a pretty like just solidly like not decent. I would say it's better than decent on average, but like I don't know if I'd say good exactly. But but it's the thing. But the thing is that it's just so high variance. Like it's a show full of really it's got so many really good moments, and then lots of just like this is. Yeah, go ahead.
The way I've seen it described, my friend, shout out to Zaire, he basically said that it flips between good and bad writing just on a dime, is kind of how he's described it.
Yeah.
And so I think we should just talk about this like season by season.
Yes. We gotta talk about season 1 first.
So I mean,
just like a synopsis.
Yeah, like literally the way the show starts is, I mean, you got the dude from Hunger Games, Jack Quaid, and he's at work, and we learn a couple things about him. We learn that he doesn't have a backbone, like he's about to ask his boss. Yeah, he's about to ask his boss for a promotion, but the boss fucking just brushes him off. He's like, "Later, kid," and he's a dick, and he just kind of goes with it. We find out he's got a girlfriend. Him and his girl, they start flirting and making jokes about laying cable and fucking and sucking and this and that. And then out of nowhere, just in the span of like 2 seconds, she just gets ran through by some Flash parody. This dude in a blue suit named A-Train, and he's just holding her severed arms, and she's just a fucking splotch of blood on the concrete. And I think like for the first thing that stuck out to me is just how like good it looked, like CGI wise, or just like the effects that they did for her fucking, because it goes in slow motion. You see her body just explode, as he runs through her.
And the whiplash, you know, like if you know anything about it, anything, you know that there's like a bit of a, you know, just waiting for the shoe to drop kind of thing. Like, you know, something is gonna happen, but it still is like this whiplash thing. It's like, whoa,
Yeah,
okay.
like
they're just right into it.
so I came off of this expecting it to be like Invincible. So I already knew that it was like, oh, superhero gore, bloody, violent, because that's it being mentioned alongside Watchmen also kind of gave that impression, because Watchmen was pretty gory too. But I did not expect it this fast. Like,
yeah, it was pretty in your face on the first episode.
And this first episode, like, it was dark. Like, it did, like, even after I got whiplash from that, there's this other plot going along where we learn about the Seven. We learn about, you know, like, they're basically the fucking Justice League, but there's 7 of them, and they work for this corporation called Vought. And this girl named Annie January gets hired into Vought as one of the 7, which I'm pretty sure they picked her because she was a pretty face. That's got to be entirely why. And yeah, like, not too far into her plot point, she basically gets sexually assaulted, which also, like, completely hit me like a truck and was just like, oh god, where the fuck did that come from?
And by, like, her childhood hero too.
Yeah, the Deep. She basically admits that she had a crush on him when she was a little girl, and then within minutes of hearing that, he just whips it out, and you see his butt cheeks.
He's pulling his cock out.
And so that kind of gives you an idea of, like, this show's gonna be shocking. It's gonna be really boundary pushing and absurd. But what also stuck out to me is that, like, pretty much Huey's arc for a lot of this episode is he wants to press charges against A-Train for committing murder, but he can't because A-Train's a superhero and a celebrity. And so he can't escape it. Like, Vought tries to get him to sign an NDA, and he can't, you know, just ignore it, because when he goes to the store, there's A-Train merch everywhere. And it's, like, an interesting examination of how, like, when a celebrity or, like, a famous politician hurts somebody, they have to live with it because that person's name is huge, and, like, just kind of an examination of just corruption. And it was just a really unique take on the superhero genre.
Yeah. Actually, I was... oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to... Some dogs also, but I was gonna talk about that. Like that's the one of the major differentiating things about that you know they established in the first episode, and it, you know, to varying degrees they stressed it to emphasize it and either more or less in your face. But unlike, you know, people are talking like, oh, Invincible, like gore stuff, but Invincible, like, is still fundamentally a superhero show.
Oh yeah, it feels like it embraces the superhero show, but just has a grittier spin on it.
I'd like to describe it as a reconstruction, but that's a different thing. But anyway, this is like fundamentally saying, like, it's not just what if superheroes were bad. It does have a bit of a it's like what if superheroes, but like celebrities, like you said. Like Vought is the major corporation, but they're like an entertainment complex more than anything. And you I think even in the first episode you get, like, in addition to the sort of like, oh, Annie's just being selected as like a face, it's they don't care about doing good things. Like, even it's pure publicity at all points, and they're like, oh, the numbers, the ratings, and it's like they hammer that home pretty hard to, like, get you. This is.
I feel like we should talk about, like, what even is, like, the issue with, like, the MCU and the DCEU in the first place, because it
is very oversaturated.
So yeah, that's like the surface level kind of issue where it's like, yeah, there's just so fucking much of it that it's soulless. I have kind of a deeper issue beyond just that, where I feel like a lot of the time they sort of promote complacency. That seems to be the message in a lot of MCU movies and DCEU movies, where the villain is the person trying to make any sort of meaningful changes at all, and the heroes are the ones trying to keep the status quo relatively the same. So anything that falls out of line or goes again, and I get that that's just a product of them seeing how successful Thanos is and seeing that like, oh, so people really like when a villain actually has a motivation, but that has created this sort of accidental, basically them telling on themselves, where they believe that the system is fine, we should not have any changes to the system at all. And so The Boys flips that, where now the people trying to make a change in the world are the good guys, and the bad guys are the complacent superheroes that are trying to keep everything in line. And I think that's kind of an interesting take on... That's why, at least in my opinion, like why it blew me away when I first saw it. Because, I mean, you get all these crappy, half the time virtue signally, like, shitty comic book, like, that range from, like, She-Hulk tier to, like, something just kind of mid, like, Endgame.
Yeah.
And then here comes this like brand new show, and it's fucked up, it's gory, it's dark, and it's making fun of all of them. It fucking hates comic book movies and shit, and it wants to call them out. And that is just the simple fact that it was something else was kind of what drew attention to it. And I think kept attention to it over the years.
I think what like surprising about The Boys though is like this is like one of the only ones that is like the most popular. That's it. That it's not just celebrity bad, like most people think it is. Like it's like we need to hold celebrities accountable. We can't like keep marketing them.
It's about how this sort of power structure is really, really hard to fight against because of how normalized it is. And it goes. I mean, go ahead. Sorry.
But it's actually kind of hypocritical because the show is owned by Amazon.
Yeah. Amazon is the closest thing to real life VOT we've got, especially with that whole thing about like we don't want our workers to pee, like have to piss in bottles and shit. That feels very VOT. But oh fuck, I lost my train of thought. Well, I guess we can just go ahead and just start talking. What were we going to say?
Actually, I did also want to mention something about Marvel. It's just like, they basically, The Boys is also saying is that Marvel is just like the only thing on. It is the only thing on.
Yeah, okay. So it was made during a time, this isn't what I was going to say, but this is important to mention too. It was also made during a time when literally all we were getting in theaters was Marvel, Star Wars, and like other big budget projects like that, because COVID made it hard for other film, and it seems like we're kind of out of that. I kind of like sort of what kicked us off was we started I kind of like, everybody gives credit to Barbenheimer for basically fixing cinema. I more or less give credit to Everything Everywhere All at Once, but you know, it seems like we're picking up the pieces and you know, fixing, because now we're getting a shit ton of like really good solid movies that are not Marvel.
So also saved. Everything is good now. That's what you're saying right now.
No. We're still getting some mid garbage, but I just
Marvel
mean, like,
movies got a. I'm sorry, Marvel movies got a long way to go before they're good again.
It's just like we live in a better timeline than we did a few years ago, because now Marvel is suffering. All of their properties are suffering.
Yeah, it's because like
get more variety.
Yeah, we're at least back to where we were. And so I guess kind of I'll talk about it like character by character, I guess.
Yeah.
So the first two really to focus on are Huey and A-Train, because they have an interesting rivalry that over the course of the show, in my opinion, gets sort of muddied and wonky, but has a very, very strong foundation in season 1. I think so. I mean, there's a lot of different rivalries set up throughout this show. The main 3 that I can, as far as I can kind of tell, that get like the most depth throughout the show is the rivalry between Huey and A-Train. There's this character named Butcher we're going to talk about here in a minute, and he has a rivalry with, of course, as you know, the big guy, the meme, the funny Homelander, haha.
Homelander, haha.
And there's also sort of a rivalry between Starlight and the Deep. But for now, I'm going to focus kind of on A-Train and Huey's dynamic. which I think is built on blatant insecurity, because the core of Huey's character is that he doesn't have much of a backbone. He wishes he was more of a man. He wishes he was tougher, more confrontational. And then on the other end of that ticket, you've got A-Train, who is, I guess in some ways, pretty much, like, he's successful, he's wealthy, he's got everything, but it's just simply not enough for him. He's an addict, and he's addicted to his power and fame, and he is deeply insecure of maintaining, like, he doesn't think he can maintain that fame and fortune. He's afraid that he's going to become washed up and lose all of it. And so that's also partly why he sticks so strongly to his addiction to this stuff known as Compound V, this drug which basically makes soups what they are. Soups is the boys' term for superheroes or people with powers. And so I thought that little dichotomy between them was interesting, but it kind of got lost in translation in later seasons. But yeah, just the idea of Huey representing like a sort of internal insecurity where, like, he doesn't feel like he's enough, and then A-Train having everything at, like, he's a much more successful person, but he's sort of suffering from an imposter syndrome type thing. And so there's that little dichotomy between them.
I was just gonna. You're talking about like its progression. I actually think, because I'm a foreshadowing, I'm assuming we'll get to this in more depth, but I think it's one of the things that I have enjoyed more about the latest season is that touching on that dynamic a bit, like in the long term, like seeing how the arc progresses in a season to season. Like, I think it's interesting how they're sort of wrapping it up. There's some things that are like that and some things that aren't. I think this one.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I'll admit, before we get too deep into this video, I did not watch past episode 6 of season 4 because I could not take it anymore. And again, that's all stuff I'm going to talk about once we get there. But
I watched episode 7, and I'm thinking of really dropping the show after the finale. It really depends on the finale.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they stick the landing. So, then you got that's one of the main focuses of season 1, definitely, is like A-Train, like, and that's one of the core things too, is like A-Train and Huey are core to season 1, and they play big roles in it. Over the course of the show, they get less screen time so that we can make more room for other things, but I do kind of miss when they were like main characters in this way and didn't feel detached from the rest of the narrative. You also have Starlight, who, as I said, got sexually assaulted by the Deep. And so this whole plot point about like Starlight, who eventually meets Huey and forms a relationship with him, like she meets him without using her secret identity. Like, they just meet on a bench, which I thought was kind of absurd, but it's okay. Like, episode 1, I think it's still a really good, like, solid, like, it had me in a vice grip. It's a very hype first episode.
Oh yeah, a very good pilot. I think the whole thing about like pilots are really interesting. Like, that very good one.
It's crazy how it's like sort of better than everything else in the show, and sometimes it can get back to that level of excitement, but very, very seldom does it ever actually make me feel like the pilot did, because the pilot was super fucking good. But I'll get in that in a minute. Basically, like, you have the plot line alongside Huey's of Starlight's, where, she also becomes a victim to these superheroes. She gets sexually assaulted by the Deep, and she, over the course of the season, she kind of has to open up about it, and then we get this surprisingly realistic story about every detail of it was super realistic. From she opens up to the public about what happened to her, and then it reaches social media, and then Vought has to kick him out of the 7, and he has to go over to Ohio. Instead of being, arrested for sexually assaulting her, and they know that he did, they just kick him off as if that's punishment enough. And even his fucking apology felt super realistic. When a video is released of him being like, well, I believed it was consensual and all, like, all those details are all this is all stuff I've seen happen in real, like, celebrity sexual assault cases. That was the part about this show that, like, shocked me, was just how actually real it felt.
Yeah. I also... Oh, sorry.
Just off the arc, since we're sort of going, or dynamic, or like character rivalry by rivalry, you get the interesting foil to Huey, and that this is like this is insider harms, as it were. Like, Huey's all about being disconnected, detached from all of the like inner workings of this like celebrity superhero sort of complex, and being on the wrong end of it. And then this is a look at how participating inside of it, like all the things, the abuses that you can have to suffer, that get inflicted by being within that culture, as you were sort of getting at earlier. And that's interesting.
Yeah, it is. But back to like the Starlight plot point. So her dynamic with the Deep basically boils to, she is sort of depicted as she's basically like the feminist symbol, which she has a similar complex to A-Train of like having to constantly learn that it's hard to do the right thing when you're on the inside.
Yeah. It also kind of shows that like celebrity life is not what it seems like, because on the outside, celebrity life looks like it's a luxury, but it's not at all. Like, because they basically like tell Starlight, oh, you got to do this now. Oh, you got to do this. You got to dress like this. Like, no.
Yeah. That was also something I thought was really interesting, where once she finally, she hits brick wall 1, where she is forced to work with a man who hurt her and took advantage of her, and get like, even just talking to her, doesn't seem to even realize that what he did was wrong. And then, like, once she finally gets him off the ticket by talking to Stillwell, I mean, she's a fucking awful person, but that's neither here nor there. And the Deep gets kicked off the 7. She is then propped up as a feminist icon, and they start forcing her to wear costumes she doesn't want to wear, and using her, and like... And the thing is, you can tell that they don't actually care about her struggles or pain. They just want ratings. That's why they're turning it into a whole plot.
Oh my god!
Just like to manipulate the media and make them think that we believe in what's right, and frame Starlight as like this feminist icon, when indeed they are not feminists.
Yeah, that's also very realistic of real life, because like usually corporations like, oh, they just like, they pander it to everybody, but don't really care about like these groups of people or their messages. It's usually like companies during Pride Month, they'll change their logos to like a Pride version of their logo, but they don't care. They just want the gay audience.
So I think me, Salt, and a few others reviewed this show forever ago, and we took forever to start talking about the highlight of the show, what kind of put it on the map. So I want to go ahead and get that out of the way soon.
Gotcha.
Unless y'all have anything else to add to like Starlight's character.
Nah, I'm good. Oh wait, should we talk about the Christian stuff? Like,
yeah, okay. I thought that was kind of cringe.
Yeah.
I get why they were using religion as like a theme to implement, because a lot of stories like this, they use religion as a theme because it makes your story deep. I did also like that it seemed to take jabs at youth church. How, if you've ever been to like church in when I went to church, it was super fucking cringe, because like it was them singing like pop rock songs about how Jesus is cool, and like they're trying to be all hip and cool with the kids, and it's like, yeah, we're gonna learn about Jesus, man. That guy's sick. He died for your sins, bro. Like that type of energy. And they make fun of that. They actually like capture it like spot on. They have this guy named Ezekiel who like is doing those types of like obnoxious speeches where he's like saying like he's reciting scripture but throwing in like modern day terms like bro. And you know, talking like he's trying to level with get all hip with the kids and shit.
Yeah, and this is like not the kind of Christianity that Starlight grew up with at all.
And I thought that whole stretch though was still cringe because I just felt like sort of a reductive like view on Christianity. I feel like there's much more to it than that.
Yeah.
She like and I'm not saying that there's not that a lot of these places are not going to have such vocal like pray the gay away type BS, but it did feel very like and everyone clapped for a lot of this whole stretch.
Yeah. Like, I kind of just wanted to ask Gabe, can we please skip this, please?
How did you feel about the Christian aspects in season 1, Trunk?
Yeah, well, it's not just it. I think I kind of agree. Like, yeah, I broadly agree with that. I think, but it's also it's sort of a piece with like all of their. I'm sure we'll get to this maybe in more detail, but about like, oh, it's gotten more blunt or whatever. Like this idea of like, oh, it's finally so ham-fisted. Like, it almost never has subtlety. Like it has, you know, it tries to do these like poignant moments where it gets a bit more subtle with it, and you can like see that there are some inner depths and things that they're working with. But like the baseline is very much like kind of what you're saying, like, oh, like youth church guy, he's like, look at this jackanape, and he's like he's just like bad in almost every way, you know. Yeah. And it's just like
I was gonna say like that whole stretch in season 1. That's why I say people are stupid if they're just now being like, oh, this show went woke. This show went woke. It's been making fun of you since season 1, dude. You just haven't
the first
picked up on
episode, dude.
Incredibly vulgar about it.
So
yeah, overt rather.
I guess the next thing we could talk about is Homelander and Stillwell and Billy Butcher.
Yeah, boy.
So, I mean, basically, like, the plot of the first episode, which there's so much to the first episode already, is that Huey, since Vought gave him an NDA, he's like, okay, he doesn't want to take it. And then Butcher, this fucking British dude, played by Carl Urban, pulls him aside, and he's like, hey, bugger. You were a victim, and he's like, who the fuck are you? He's like, I am fucking CIA or whatever the fuck, and yeah, I can help you. And he goes on this tangent about how, you know, like superheroes do a lot of horrible shit, and Huey's like surprised by that. But he's like, yeah, superheroes do a lot of horrible shit. You'd be surprised at what they get up to, and
like on how much the media like tries to cover it up. Because, like, it's everywhere. Like, because Butcher just shows him, like, Times Square and, like, look at it. It's all over the place, man.
I really liked that Huey asks him, like, or Huey says, like, well, no, if they're doing bad stuff all the time, that'd be all over the news. And then Butcher responds with, no, because they have something to protect. And Huey's like, what? And he's like, he shows him all the shit on the billboards, the A-Train, the Deep, the Starlight merch all over the fucking everywhere. And he's like, all of this, the cozy feeling that superheroes give them, they want to protect it. And it is protected by corporate lobbyists, politicians on both sides. And it's all maintained to support this system. And so obviously this is a pretty clear-cut critique of capitalism. But yeah, like they cover up all of these horrible things in order to protect this public image of theirs. And that's sort of the main point of a lot of this show.
So, yeah, and they interestingly sort of tie that into with Vought, where it's like I mentioned it being like an interdata complex. It's also just everything. Like it's all sort of they go back and forth on like just being running gag about it and like relevant to the plot, but it's like, oh, Whataburger instead of McDonald's. Like they just have their hands in literally every pie. They run almost everything unless said otherwise.
In season 3, there's this thing called a VS4. They get very anime with a lot of the product placements throughout this show, where they just that is sort of one thing that becomes very apparent over the course of seasons 2, 3, and oh my god, 4, where they just keep pushing the words "vot" or "soup" into every single thing and then calling it like satire. But in season 1, it had kind of a strong foundation. Butcher,
yeah, I think it's continue.
Butcher, we don't learn much about him in episode 1, but I mean, basically, like, he wants Huey to go take the money that Vought was going to give him for his NDA, but only on the condition that he can go into Vought Tower and shake hands with A-Train himself and get a formal apology in person from A-Train. And then once he does, there is sort of this weird flimsy plot contrivance where we learn that there's, on top of the Deep being a fucking deviant, there's this guy named Translucent who strips naked and waits in the I think it's a gender neutral bathroom, because there's no other way it couldn't be a gender neutral bathroom, considering, you know, like, Huey goes in there and Starlight goes in there. So I really do feel like it's just a gender neutral bathroom. That's just my little cover up for that weird plot contrivance. Either way, he like waits in the bathroom all the time, and then he sees Huey, and then he follows Huey to his job, and then ensues one of the greatest first episodes ever, where he's beating the shit out of Huey, and then Butcher drives through on a car and knocks him into the wall.
While invisible. It's a very cool, like, the cinematography in that is really good. I want to call attention to that.
Oh my god, like, it was such a good action scene. Cause it's like, it's Butcher fighting him while he's invisible, and he can't see him, but then he spits his blood on him, and then, oh, there you are, and he, you know, they start beating the shit out of him with a crowbar, and then eventually Huey gets like a wire, and Butcher kicks him onto the wire, and his ass cheek lands on it and shocks him and knocks him out. And so that already shows you kind of like, it's raunchy, it's very immature, because he fucking gets electrocuted on the butt.
Yeah.
It's got celebrity cameos. There was a fucking, what's that guy's? I keep wanting to say, is it Jimmy Fallon or is it Jimmy?
I think it's
Kimmel?
Fallon.
I can't tell the two apart. I really can't.
Pretty sure it's Fallon.
They're pretty much the same. Let's be real.
Yeah. So Fallon appears on the show, and that was also interesting, with seeing the Translucent show off his powers on Fallon and give away his weakness. Either way, and so the plot from this point forward sort of becomes, we have Translucent in our custody, and we got to get rid of him, because if we let him go, there's no way he's gonna save us. Like, he's gonna be lenient on us for what we've done. So we got to kill him. It's necessary. And so Huey has to grapple with this weird situation he's been put in. It felt very, and this comparison, nowadays I would cringe making this comparison, but it did give me the same feeling that, like, the first couple episodes of Breaking Bad did, where it's like, we already got to hide a body, you know, like that sort of unhinged dark comedy angle.
Yeah. No, and like, they underscore that, you know, we keep talking about raunchy, like, with the only, because he's not just invisible, he's like got this carbon steel skin, so the way that they actually have him like on lock is an explosive up his butt.
And yeah, that's what I love too, is basically you meet Frenchie, and Frenchie is he doesn't like Butcher much at this point. He's pretty mad at him, but Butcher's getting them together. And basically manipulates. We learn that Butcher's manipulative, and he has Frenchie basically figure out how to kill Translucent, and Frenchie doesn't figure it out. They try all sorts of methods, but Frenchie doesn't figure it out until he sees on television. He looks at a turtle on television, and then he's like, "Oh, I get it." So he's like, it's a smart strategy because he basically like he shoves a bomb up his butt and then hooks it up to a remote control. And through this whole thing, we see Huey like struggling with this dilemma of like, am I doing the right thing? This is wrong. I'm in way over my head. And even I think what I like about this is that it gives so much characterization to this character who, I mean, essentially was only in this for like a couple episodes. Where he starts talking to Huey and he almost which again, that also sort of justifies the Breaking Bad comparison because of how much this reminds me of the part where Walter has to
with the plate.
Yeah, with the plate, the guy where they sit and they just talk and the guy's like trying to talk him out of killing him. It did feel like it's sort of borrowed from Breaking Bad a little bit, but it was very, very good in this instance because he goes on the speech about how he understands people because he watches them when they think they're alone, and how, you know, he has like this uncanny understanding of others, and he basically tells Huey that he's in way over his head, completely fucked. And so Huey has to grapple with this idea that like, I need to kill this guy, but I don't think it's the right thing to do. I didn't ask for any of this to happen to me. All I wanted was just to get back at the people who took away Robin. But by the end, he sticks to his conviction and basically sticks with the idea that these guys took Robin away from me, so he takes the revenge route and he blows the guy up.
As he's walking out, it's like he looks at the like. I think it's a cute little moment. It's like he looks at this like hackneyed poster about like
a baby,
you know, the baby or like the cat or something. I don't know. It's like hanging there. Whatever.
It was a baby,
the baby
covered in
the baby
spaghetti.
smiling. Yeah, and he's like, screw this, and just clicks the detonator.
And then it fucking plays Cherry Bomb.
I forgot about that.
And so here's the thing. It's not subtle. It is the most unsubtle, in-your-face. But that was what made season 1, to me at least, super charming, was that it was so loud and unapologetic and abashed and just aggressively in your face with what it was. And that idea of like, just let's kill this guy has like diamond skin, let's kill him by putting a bomb up his ass, is so gross and stupid and funny and dark in just a very like unique, like it felt very The Boys. Like this is
Absolutely.
what this is. This is what this show is all about. Oh fuck, I hit my mic, sorry. So
How dare you?
this foundation that the show's built on in these first couple episodes essentially goes away over the course of the show. That's sort of my core issue with a lot of the later stuff that happens in The Boys, is we stop with this like strategy idea, or because what made it compelling to me was that these guys don't have powers and they're trying to kill people who do. And that concept, in my opinion, is super interesting.
Yeah, always this like it is hard. I understand on some level it's hard to maintain that over many seasons, but like yeah, it's this idea of like the asymmetric warfare where we're viewing the you know the quote unquote underdogs, and it's like how do they deal with this? How do they deal with that? And you know, develop their because often like there's a lot of under fire. They're like stressed out at each other too and dealing with like their regular lives, which if I may, you were talking about this as like a Butcher Homelander rivalry that like gets built up, and I think something that's really good to talk about with that, and maybe other things in the show as well, is how the characters are portrayed, like the acting. I think like we haven't talked about Homelander yet, but to just give a sense of what I mean, like I think you know it's said a lot, but I think that's you know deserves mention is just how incredibly well played Homelander is by Anthony Starr. Like
Oh yeah, absolutely.
really good acting, and you have this back and forth, and a lot of people. Yeah, take it away.
So as we established, Butcher, he's a manipulative asshole, and we don't get to know much about him in episode 1. Same with Homelander. We don't get to know much about Homelander in episode 1. We just kind of know he's like the boss of the 7, and we know that the others are kind of fucked up, so we don't quite know what Homelander's got going on, but we know there's something.
He's the Superman. He has to be the worst.
If you just go on episode 1 alone, save for a part where he destroys a plane at the end, he just seems like another Superman.
Usually, like, okay, yeah, Homelander basically is the Superman guy, but like the problem is that he is absolutely unhinged.
In every way, yes.
Yes, like he's
crazy.
basically the product. He is a product, but he's basically Superman. But like you see here, everybody's terrified of him because like he's borderline psychopathic. And like he could just kill anybody he wants because he's the freaking Homelander.
And he even says that he's like, I'm the Homelander and I can do whatever the fuck I want. That's kind of his that's basically his catchphrase.
And to me, Homelander was one of the best villains in all of like television ever.
Yeah, he got a bit flanderized over the years, but that we'll touch on that again in a minute. So I think the dynamic between Butcher and Homelander is very, very fascinating because you on the one end you've got Butcher, a manipulative, conniving asshole, and he's the type who won't let people get close to them, and he pushes them away because he wants them to hate him simply because he thinks he's no good for anyone. And in many ways he's right. He is an active harm to the people around him because they always get roped up in his quest for revenge. Butcher is someone who operates purely on hatred, on anger. He hates Supes. He hates every single one of them, and he believes that they shouldn't even exist in the first place. And so his whole journey is him. It's like a Guts Berserk type Punisher revenge plot where he wants to eradicate any and all Supes from ever existing. And the one he hates most is Homelander, obviously, because Homelander raped his wife. And so as sort of a foil to that, Homelander, as Salt said, is a psychopath. He is purely psychotic, a lot of it, but there's a reason he won't just go kill anybody, and that is because Homelander was basically just squeezed out of a test tube in a lab. And he was raised,
of course,
and he was raised by scientists who abused him, did tests on him, experimented on him. And so he grew up desiring approval from others. And so now he has this massive ego where it's like Patrick Bateman mixed with BoJack Horseman,
perfect
with Superman.
Yeah. Patrick Bateman, BoJack Horseman, and Superman all kind of, or actually a better example would be Titan from Megamind.
That's perfect.
It's like those three characters wrapped up together in one little bow. He is essentially like just absolutely evil in every way, but he's got that Achilles heel where he desires love and approval. And so you've got a character who wants to be hated by everyone and a character who wants to be loved by everyone. And they're complete and polar opposites. One is motivated by hate, the other one's motivated by love. You get the idea. And so that's why they have probably one of the most brilliant rivalries, at least for the first couple seasons, I've ever seen, where they're just polar opposites, but they sort of have a duality. And that's kind of all I really gotta go ahead.
Like you mentioned, Butcher being conniving. Like they also have like they mirror each other in that respect, where it's like they have a sort of symmetry in being like. They come about it in a little different ways, but like Homelander, even though he's often too vain to like make full use of it, he like has a decent understanding of people, and like he works. We see him also just sort of roping people, especially like the press. He plays the crowds and whatnot to his advantage.
Go ahead. Are you?
Oh, no, you can go. I was just gonna say, yeah, that was basically
in
it.
Season
the
1,
manipulative.
Season 1 is the most calculated Homelander is all across the show, because he's very dedicated to Madeline Stillwell, and as we said, she's a very she's just your usual woman with power, where, she values money over human life, and you get like 1,000 characters like that in this show, like pretty much one every season.
She's so forgettable that like they made an offhand reference to her as like in season 4. It's like, oh, remember what happened to, and I was like, who was that again? Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, the woman
Yeah.
with the woman number 1 out of literally like 3 that Homelander's got a thing with, and she's evil, and she's got milkers, and in this case she's got a baby, and there's a whole thing about Homelander being jealous of the baby getting so much of her attention. But she's the only thing keeping him in line. Like, she's the thing that's got him horsewhipped. And sort of the big dynamic of Homelander's character is he is so dedicated to her and so loyal. I basically describe Homelander as a BPD king, because he will kill for this woman. He will do anything for her approval, even if it is the most insane shit ever. Even if it's the dumbest thing you could possibly do, he'll do it for her, just for mommy milkies. Like,
Can I mention? Oh, sorry.
Well, let me just get this out of the way. She
Yeah.
wants to get Soups in the army, and I mean, we kind of see she's like a manipulative piece of shit too, because she has this person who transforms and basically rapes a politician. I mean, it's basically rape, right? Like,
Yeah.
manipulates him, puts a blindfold on him, and he thinks that they look one way, but then they transform into a something else, and then they take pictures of the situation and then put it on social media, or threaten to put it
threaten
on.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In order to get him to sign off on having Soups in the army. And Homelander, he's like working to sort of push this even further, where he destroys a plane from a guy that has a guy that threatened Madeline Stillwell. So anybody that's a threat to her, he will kill in a heartbeat. And then there's another plane scenario where he has to go save a plane, and he accidentally destroys the control panel. So then he's like, "Fuck it, we gotta go," with this girl named Queen Maeve. We'll talk about her in a second. And so this part, this was like the first like oh shit moment with Homelander, and it became kind of an iconic the fucking part of him. He's like on the plane laughing, everybody's seen it. Where they're all applauding because he saved them, but then they're basically
He's
fucked.
like, no.
He's like, no, you guys. And this version, like the fake front he puts up, where he's like, doing the celebrity thing, is so entertaining to watch. Whenever.
Absolutely.
There's like a part where he's like waving to everybody. He's like, "Yeah, you fucking cocksuckers," and
Yeah.
Anthony Starr is so fucking fun in this role. But this part, he was genuinely terrifying because he basically slowly progresses from like, "Yeah, you guys are the real heroes," to
I'm the real hero.
"We're gonna have to go to you stay the fuck back or I'll laser you," and he like threatens them to stay on the plane so that he and Maeve can get off of it and then watch it crash into the ocean. I think it was an ocean. It might have been over a city.
Yeah, it wasn't. I think it wasn't. I think it was the ocean, but it was kind of near the shore because I think you see the wreckage, don't you?
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and this is one thing I wanted to say about Homelander. I appreciate a villain. It's more than just being evil for the sake of being evil. But I do love that Homelander is just evil and he knows it. Like, he just knows it. Like, he will do the worst thing imaginable and he doesn't care. He does not care.
What we learn is, like, he, after the plane, which he is pretty much culpable and responsible for destroying, after all those people die, he then goes on the press and then does this conniving speech in which he says that this happened because we couldn't get there in time because they wouldn't warn us and they won't let Soups into the army. So tell your people you want Soups into the army. So it all sort of, he uses it to further push this agenda to get Soups into the army, which he's only doing for Madeline Stillwell. He doesn't really care about that much.
Yeah.
That's the one thing about Homelander you learn for a lot of his characters, that he says a lot of the things to the media that he doesn't actually believe in, because his only obsession, the only thing he truly cares about, is himself. Over time, he develops an ideology of his own, that being the opposite of Butcher's, that Soups should be the only ones that exist, that we are better than the others, and they should be subservient to us. They're toys for our amusement. But he doesn't quite have that philosophy yet. That's something he develops over the course of the show.
Yeah, a little. That goes into one of the interesting, like, the things that I think The Boys has always been kind of muddied on, where it's like the superheroes are kind of all at once an allegory for like equal parts like drug use, addiction, and general just power, obviously, but then also like this weird sort of racism allegory where you have like Butcher
A-Train.
being
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, sure.
I was gonna say like A-Train getting racially profiled.
That's I think that's racism as racism. I mean the superhero like
Oh yeah, so,
itself.
Oh my god, and it's so much more like we're not complaining about season 2 yet, but there's a fucking part where Starlight calls Butcher a bigot that made me roll my fucking eyes, because you cannot use that as like, it's not the same. It's not the same. Either way, I think there's something kind of messy with trying to use racism as an allegory for these types of stories. A lot of stories like this do this.
Yeah, it kind of goes. They like do it both ways, where it's like Butcher is genocidal to a degree, like it goes on, and then it's like, oh, the Soups are like, they think that that regular humans are inferior.
He goes to like a fucking Soup victims meeting and basically calls them all a bunch of bitches because they're not out with a fucking chainsaw trying to kill all the Soups.
Yeah.
So he's just really like an asshole, a lovable asshole, but he's an asshole.
Right.
So we're taking a while to talk about season 1. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about season 1, breeze through my issues with season 2, talk about season 3, breeze through my issues with season 4 so that this can kind of not be too bloated or lengthy, because I know we don't have all the time in the world. But
go ahead.
I kind of want to get a couple more things from season 1 out of the way. Queen Maeve is kind of she's not a super great character.
She exists.
She's there. What did you think of Queen Maeve, Salt?
Just it really is just eh.
I think I'll say this. I think one of the core things about her that isn't necessarily right on its face, but it's like kind of the driving thing of her character, is something that I think is quite interesting in concept, where she's like part of the Seven, and like she has this bit of power and stuff, and she's like on the inside, but also, and she's sort of the aged counterpart almost to Starlight, like this is where you'll be, blah blah blah. But ultimately she's like kind of a coward about everything, right? Like she doesn't really want to rock the boat and at risk to herself and what she's got going, and that's kind of like, and she lashes out at anybody else who
she's a massive alcoholic. She's gay.
Yeah.
Well, she's not gay. She's bi, but she's a bisexual queen.
That's right.
Should be noted that Salt and Pasta Man and
Hey, Gabe, don't you dare fucking mention that.
Salt,
Don't you
Pasta Man,
dare.
and I were watching, and then we got to the part where she visited her ex-girlfriend, and then the ex-girlfriend said something mean to her, so Salt was like, "That's me at Pasta Man," and then seconds later, she starts kissing her.
And
I was like,
that was the biggest fucking regret I've ever had.
see, none of us would have noticed if I hadn't just said, "So that's you and Pasta Man, right?" And then we never let him live it down.
Yeah. I mean, you really have whatever.
Other characters, so I mentioned Frenchie. I don't got a lot to say about him because he mostly peaks in season 1. He meets this, they find this prisoner girl who I guess was like a prisoner to Vought, and she was part of the Blacklight Liberation Army, which was like an organization that is mentioned a lot, but man, we sure don't get to see much of them throughout this show. It's been 4 seasons. You'd think they'd give them more screen time and more attention, but no. Either way, she and Frenchie form a bond, and that it's a pretty charming bond for the first 3 seasons. Kind of falls apart in season 4 because of messy plots, but Kimiko is adorable. I love her. She's like
Absolutely.
Asian woman. She can't speak. She uses her own personal sign language, and she teaches it to Frenchie. And Frenchie is French, so he's not a person.
There is that.
French, therefore subhuman.
Please clap.
Saul, how do you feel about French people?
They smell bad, and the only reason they failed at colonization of America is because they didn't want to leave France. That's all I had to say.
I think Kimiko is, I mean, she's pretty straightforward. You know, she's a scary, like, violent soup woman, but she does a lot of the shonen anime fights in this series. And she can regenerate. She's pretty much impossible to kill. And she's skrunkly because she likes musicals and dancing and singing. But she can't sing because she doesn't know how to speak. She can't sing.
Yep.
There's really not a lot to her in this first season. A lot of her characterization comes in the later seasons. But
Yeah.
Either way, my major, honestly, the only thing about season 1 that I could really fault it for, because it's pretty tight. You know, it leads from one situation to the next. They find this girl. They learn about Vought. They learn about Compound V. There's a scene where A-Train's girl cheats on him with her landlord, sits on the guy's face, crushes his head. Funniest shit I've ever seen. Kind of wish I could die like that. And then he has to kill her because Homelander makes him kill her. And then so they take the Asian girl Kimiko to this guy named Messner. He can like read people's minds, and that's where they find out that she's part of the Black Light Liberation. But then Messner rats them out to Vought, and then they're basically burned. And so that's sort of what leads into the finale, is that Butcher kills Messner for ratting them out, and that was a crazy ass scene. There's not much to Messner really, so there's really no point in talking about him too deeply. Basically, yeah. Butcher kills him. I loved that part, just seeing Butcher like slam his head into the sink over and over again. Yeah, I don't know. It kind of just builds into the finale, which was really, really good. There's just one hang up I have for pretty much most of season 1. Huey and Starlight's relationship is bad.
Yeah, I was always like giving it some amount of great, like it always felt like throughout the entire show, frankly, like there's like little glimmers of something kind of interesting, and I'm like, oh, but like it's the I would say, unlike where the average of the show itself is like above the an average, it's just always kind of I don't like what's going, like it's just there, or worse.
To me, they just don't feel like a couple. They kind of just feel like friends. That's about it.
Yeah, here's the crazy thing. Huey and Robin had crazy good chemistry. Like, in the few minutes that Robin was on screen, they had such good chemistry. And then Huey and Starlight, yeah, they feel like either friends or fucking sibling coded.
My problem is that he's just kind of like he has no backbone with Starlight or something. He's just kind of like, okay, yeah.
I mean, that is sort of core to the plot, but it's like, I don't know. I was expecting like an Uptown Girl dynamic. They even play the fucking song Uptown Girl when they're fucking in season 3. So I don't know. Like, I felt like it was just I think it's like only cute when you look at the concept, but in terms of execution, they just don't have that much chemistry. They just don't. It doesn't feel natural. It feels like a very impulsive relationship, if anything. Like, what do they even have in common?
No idea.
I think I think there was like one thing, right? I don't remember what there was like a scene like they're like
There's like one scene in
The
season
commissary.
2 where he makes fun of her chocolate bar taste.
That's it. It's okay. I don't know.
It's a 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Let's see here. And then, so, I mean, basically the way it is, like, everybody's burned. Huey and the rest of the boys. There was also this character named Mother's Milk. I didn't really bring him up because, if I'm being real with you, even though he has a strong presence through most of the show, he's sort of just reflective of the other characters, and he's not a super important character. Through most of the show, he doesn't have much of a presence, which is weird considering he should be part of the boys. He should be part of the core of the show's appeal, but he really doesn't. All we know in season 1 is he's got beef with Frenchie, but then over time he and Frenchie kind of step aside their differences and form a bit of a bond. It's kind of a complicated thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna be real with you. I forgot that they had beef.
Yeah, they kind of throw that plot point away, but I like Mother's Milk. That's the thing, is like I kind of feel bad for not bringing him up, but it's like he does not leave much of an impression in season 1 beyond just kind of being an extra guy to add some flavor to the dialogue.
He's roped in, and he's kind of like, I guess I don't. You can check me on this. It might be more of a later thing, but it's kind of like he kind of fulfills this like similar but like role to Huey, where he's sort of like the moral backbone of the group, where he's like, guys, are we doing things right? Blah blah blah.
Yeah,
I gotta just that.
I kind of consider him the gentle giant of the group, because he looks so big and tough. He doesn't in season 4, but he looks so big and tough for the first 3 seasons. But he's actually like chill as fuck. And he's funny. He's got like probably the funniest dialogue out of the boys.
Consistently, yeah, some bangers.
Yeah.
But either way, like, he's also got OCD. I guess that's like a running joke with his characters. Or it's not really much of a joke because they take it seriously in the later seasons. But in season 1, it's basically a joke where Frenchie is talking about how he obsessively eats ice cream because he has OCD, because he wants the whole thing to be flat and perfect. And so he ends up eating the whole tub of ice cream and throwing it away. But, yeah, there's a lot of good character chemistry. It's just that between Huey and Starlight, there's not much. They're a bit flat and just not that great of a relationship. Either way, they all get burned, except for Starlight, but they are starting to suspect that Starlight might have something because she finds out that Huey betrayed her and he's been lying to her. And then, Butcher's the only one that still wants to fight while the others are like, fuck this. And so Butcher finds out about Stillwell and then takes her hostage so that he can hurt Homelander. And this was like the best fucking part of like this finale, was just this part where Butcher is taking Homelander's girl hostage, and Homelander's like almost like he's kind of impressed, or he's like, you are dark and I like it. Like he's like kind of smug and cocky.
He's like, this is the villain nemesis that I wish I could have like had.
It's like the first time there's ever been someone that's not only not afraid of him, but that actually just wants to fight him and like challenge him. And I think that's why Homelander pretty much has nothing but respect for Butcher, just because he's so different from everybody else. Everybody else is all scared of him, or they're sucking his dick. But Butcher is like his biggest hater. He he woke up real early to be a hater.
And that's another thing that's really interesting about Homelander's character about it, because even like he has that respect. It comes up a few times with some other characters, blah blah blah. But even despite that, he like wars with it because he's also still like a really self-absorbed egocentrist, right? Where it's like he wants people, he wants to like have people challenge him, but he can't stomach people actually doing it for long.
Yeah, he's like he kind of has like a Tai Lung moment from Kung Fu Panda, where he's like, our battle will be legendary. You know, where he's like he finally found his rival.
Yeah.
There's not much else about season 1. I just think it's a good foundation for the show. There's only like one little caveat is that it wraps up tightly. All the loose ends are, because there's not many loose ends, because it kind of just progressed naturally into this conclusion where, okay, we're all burned, so that means the show can go anywhere from here. It's a perfect foundation. It can only go up from here. It doesn't, but it can only go up from here. And we even set up this new villain. It's basically revealed that the last little push that Homelander needs to give to get Soups into the army is to leak Compound V all across the globe. And so they find out that there is this Arabic hero named Nakib. So now there's like Soups in other countries. And that was a brilliant move when I first saw it, because it's like, holy shit, we've already set up like a villain for the next season, and now we have like a possibility for villains to come from everywhere. They could be all over the world now. They're not just America exclusive. He dies within the first 5 minutes of the next episode. I don't like season 2 very much.
Yeah, my problem is that season 2 kind of like ruined the world building of The Boys. The Boys just feels like it's just New York. That's it. It's just New York.
Even though it's filmed in Canada.
Yeah.
It's all America based, but it's very much so filmed in Canada. How'd you feel about season 2, Trunky?
Yeah, and I would say I don't know that I disliked it, but I would say that it's a little bit of a dive. I think so. The big thing about it, right, is Stormfront. That's the season.
That's the main villain. They basically they say fuck you, Nakib, and you don't even get to see him die. He dies off screen, kind of like you see Black Noir. It's like a parody of the Power Rangers, and he's on the 7. Hunt him down, cut, and then next thing you know, he's got a severed head, and he brings it back to Vought Tower. And then from that point forward, they have not really addressed the concept of V being spread all across the globe. I was hoping that would come back up at any point in the story, but nope. It seems like they just resolved it this way, where they essentially kill him off screen. You don't even get to see it. And now the main villain is a new member of the 7 named Stormfront, who initially is like depicted as sort of just a go-getter, a real tough, outspoken woman. But then over time you learn that she's a Nazi. Which, if you're smart like me and have big brain, you know that you would have known she was a Nazi from the get-go, because she's literally named Stormfront, the name of the first online neo-Nazi forum.
Indeed. It's kind of a pun, because like she has lightning powers a little bit.
Yeah.
Sorry. Can I mention something I also didn't like about season 2?
Yeah, what's up?
Okay, so Stormfront kind of has like this hospital internment camp thing where it's like a bunch of like defective Soups are staying at. And there's this one with telekinesis or psychic powers.
She's kind of like the bitch from Stranger Things, yeah.
Yeah, but like she escapes this place after brutally massacring the entire hospital. They don't do anything with her.
Yeah, she hasn't showed up either. Even in what we've seen in season 4, she hasn't showed up.
Imagine she just shows up randomly in season 5 to kill Homelander.
That would be hilarious, but I don't think so.
But this actually like kind of brings up a point. Eric Kripke is gonna get rid of any idea that seems a little too OP from what I'm seeing, because like spreading V across the globe, I feel like that's also maybe a budget restraint, but I also feel like that could spawn like a bunch of powers.
Here's what didn't make sense to me. You had the concept of spreading V across the globe, which means that, okay, now we're going to get superheroes all across the world. They go to Russia in season 3. take a fucking plane to Russia to go try and look for a weapon that can kill Homelander. And all of the superhero stuff is just Vought. It's just Vought. It feels like such a contained, like, superheroes, like any new characters that get introduced, they're like season exclusive. And that's sort of become my issue with a lot of this, is like character deaths, for example, have mostly been season exclusive characters. Season 2 is I think part of the problem is that it just introduces things too fast, and we're breezing through plot points. It's such like insanely fast pacing. Like Kamiko's brother gets introduced, and then we get a little bit of time with her talking to him, but really not enough for you to start caring before he gets killed by Stormfront and called yellow because Stormfront's racist, in case you didn't pick up on that. Homelander and Stormfront develop some sort of weird relationship.
Oh my god. Okay, I'm gonna say this. Stormfront and Homelander's relationship is somehow worse than Huey and Starlight's.
Well, in terms of vibes, absolutely. I think that's to the show's credit on this one. I think they're meant to be like extremely disturbing in their interactions.
Yeah,
and they nail that.
Just a Nazi and a fucking BPD psychopath.
Nothing too new here. If you've heard other people talk about this, but I like this as well. You get notes of like Homelander. He sort of just absorbs a lot of just general, like he's never depicted as like anything but vaguely, racist and all that. But he doesn't like buy into like this full-throated Stormfront ideology. He just kind of cares about like soup power. Like, oh, I'm a soup, I'm better than everyone. That's what I care about. And so there's like this scene where like, she's getting really into her her racist screeds, and he's like a little bit like, what's your problem, man? Just a little bit.
Yeah, she goes on.
It's kind of funny.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
She goes on about like, oh, we need to start a new generation of Aryan children, and Homelander's just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Well, I was gonna say is like, there's literally a part where she starts saying like, like, we are victims of racism because they're people trying to commit white genocide. And Homelander does the fucking blink meme, the gif
exactly.
the gif of the guy that like blinks and just like looks like, what, huh? So it's not really so much that he's like, he's got vague racist leanings and he panders to racists, but it's kind of very much like a Trump thing where he doesn't actually believe half the shit he preaches. He's just wanting approval, and he's getting it from the people that are going to give it to him no matter what he fucking does. The crux of season 2's plot is Butcher's wife, since she was raped by Homelander. Turns out Butcher's wife is alive. She got a son, a terrible child actor. The son's name is Ryan. This is Homelander's son. And so it's sort of this long, continuous battle of Homelander finding out that not only does he have a son, but that Vought tried to keep this son from him. For all my complaints about season 2, I think one of the best parts of it was Stan Edgar. I remember we really liked. He's basically another Stillwell, but this time instead of being a woman with mommy milkers,
it's Gus Fring.
It's Giancarlo Esposito.
It's Gus Fring.
It's literally just Gus.
It's just Gus.
It's just Gus.
I think what's so funny is every single scene where he's with Homelander, he just mocks him to his face, and Homelander doesn't do a goddamn thing because he wants his approval. And he doesn't want to upset him.
He could literally kill him, but he can't.
Yeah, he just never does. And every single time, like, Stan Edgar always gets the last laugh where he's, at one point he calls him, like, Homelander's like, you should have given me respect. And he's like, but where would it go? But the what is it, like, the pit you call a soul or whatever. And then Homelander pretends like he's not upset by that. He's like, ooh. And
he's just coping at that point.
You are not a god. You are simply not up to Pollo standards.
That direct quote from the show. That's exactly.
I get people always make that line that he's not up to Pollo standards, but I think the line about him being a product is like very impactful.
Oh yeah, no,
No, absolutely. I think that is good.
I find it so funny because to me it is just Gus Fring, and that is kind of what a conversation between Homelander and Gus Fring would be like. Is just you are simply not up to Pollo's standards. But yeah, that was like my highlight for season 2 is Stan Edgar, because beyond just being like, oh, he's one of the only people that can shit talk Homelander and walk away just fine. There's like a part that I thought was really, really good, wherein he has to make a deal with Butcher, and then Butcher's like, why did you even sign Stormfront on in the first place? Doesn't it bother you? Like you're not white. Like she hates you. It should bug you. And so for a brief moment, he kind of shows some humanity there, where he's like, it does, but this isn't about me. This is about business. And so that kind of becomes the core of what a lot of the villains in this show are all about, is like, in some ways, yeah, like I don't like this, but that's just the system. And they try to make peace with it. They try to become complacent with it. That's sort of Stan Edgar's philosophy, but that's also the philosophy of all of Vought. And some people express that in more unhinged ways than others. There's a character named Ashley that we're not really going to have time to talk about because this video is so fucking bloated. But she's like, she pulls her hair out a lot, and she's a woman, and she's
basically
She's
like
the PR woman.
And like, yeah, like she's basically tired of everything.
But over the course of the show, she gets more and more scared to challenge Homelander, so she becomes one of his biggest dick riders. And it's simply because that's the system, that's the way the game's played. I have to just embrace it. So that's kind of the philosophy of a lot of the Vought characters.
Indeed. Are we wrapping up on this season?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. Okay.
The one other thing. Oh,
Well, I was. Gonna say,
yeah, go ahead.
Well, you go ahead first. I'll say it in a second.
I was just saying we do get one other major thing, like for the show going forward, which is Victoria Newman is introduced.
Yeah, that I'm gonna wait on because I got
Okay.
complaints about that mostly apply to season 3 and yes, season 4. So kind of just my core of like season 2. I think the problem again is that it, like I brought up Kamiko's brother, but another instance where it happens is that there's also Lamplighter, this washed up soup. We get to know a little bit about him. We get to know that he's insecure. He's got kind of a cuck fetish. And he feels like he got cucked out of his fame. He killed a bunch of people, and Frenchie felt responsible for what he had done. But we don't get the details on that, and so he pretty much exits the narrative as quickly as he's introduced. And that has become sort of the basis for a lot of shit in this show, of characters that die as quickly as they're introduced. But also on top of that, it's all these characters like Lamplighter, he could have depth. Kamiko's brother could have depth. What else kind of happened in season 2 that got brushed through? Like the fucking...
Just the only person
like
is
Nikki.
like that psychic bitch.
Yeah. All these characters, they could have depth. They had potential to have depth, but they don't get much breathing room. They enter and then are brushed through as quickly as they they arrive, and then boom, they're gone.
It's the quintessential problem with like any sort of, especially shows, I think TV shows that have to deal with this, where they want to be both like, they want it to be serious and they want to have a tone of like lethality, but you also have like the main characters who you can't just kill on a dime, but you want to have like, you want to show that things are happening, so they have to have a lot of characters that like, or they don't have to, but it's a balancing act for sure, of like you have these like characters that they just end up getting thrown into the meat grinder, and you're like, oh, you're one of those.
The Stranger Things problem, basically, where we kill characters as quickly as we introduce them. The Boys does it on like way worse though, because like I said, like a character, they die before they ever truly get a chance to leave an impression. There is a little bit of depth thrown at them, like a conversation or two that kind of gives you an idea of who they are as people, but then they die. It was that way with Nakib. Nakib didn't even get any screen time, really. He pretty much died the minute he was introduced. But
Didn't
it was
he
like
die the same episode?
no, it was the beginning of the second season. That was when the problems first started. But I would be okay with that if the main villain who gets all the screen time for season 2 was not the weakest villain in the series at that point. But she is, and that is and look, I this criticism is gonna come off the wrong way because she's a Nazi, and the guy who made this show, Eric Kripke, is Jewish. So I get that he might not want to humanize a Nazi character, like a Nazi villain character, but that's you've humanized a rapist, 2 rapists actually. One of which is like a psychotic, genocidal freak. I mean, in this season, definitely one thing season 2 gets right is that it's still shocking. It's still like there's so much crazy shit that happens in season 2. Like, they ram a boat into a whale and kill it,
that happened.
which was fucking nuts. There's like a part where this blind guy is about to get introduced to the Seven, and then Homelander seems like blown away. He's like, oh wow, that's so cool, you're blind but you can see me, kind of like Toph. And then without warning just slams his hands into the guy's ears, and he's on the ground bleeding out. So there's like there's no shortage of like shocking, bizarre shit, but like the plot just does not give you a chance to breathe for season 2. It doesn't feel as concise, it doesn't feel as well paced as season 1.
Sure.
And Stormfront as a villain does not feel as interesting as Homelander. They humanized the Deep in this season. That's what I found wild, was that like we learned that the Deep sexually assaults women because he has deep insecurity problems. Haha, pun intended. Whatever.
Oh my God.
That's pretty deep.
Freaking, I think Stormfront could have been a better villain. Like, she was kind of like supposed to be like this smug, arrogant, and I hate to use this term, girl boss character at first, but she just became racist. That was her whole character arc.
Is like she's an accurate take on Nazism, but what can you say about her as a person beyond just her Nazi philosophy? Because there's about a million. Like, I could say the Deep. He hates his own body, he's ashamed of his gills, and he projects that shame onto the women around him, and he takes advantage of them because of that. Or like Homelander is an insecure psychopath who desperately wants approval but cannot feel empathy for others, and is constantly stuck in this trap of desiring love but never being able to give it. So like there's so many layers to all these other, even like fucking Stan Edgar, like I had said, he's a minority who like climbed his way up to the top and now has to embrace the system by valuing money over human life because that's the only way he's known to live and thrive. But Stormfront, there's nothing. There's literally nothing. There's maybe a little bit of stuff in there about misogyny, but there's nothing to Stormfront that I could really tell you makes her compelling as a human being. Am I crazy? Am I? Or
She is the designated villain of the week. I mean, like she, like you said with the girl boss thing, like she has cool moments in how she's sort of like, aha, she does these things, and it also has that bit of like, maybe this is part of the reason why some people were so confused about the commentary of the show. Because they kind of use her as like a critique on like corporate fakeness as well, where it's like she panders to feminist messages, but then she's a Nazi. And I think There's something to that.
Right, yeah, no, that actually makes sense, because I remember when a lot of people were praising season 2, they're like, this show doesn't take sides because it calls out Republicans and Democrats on their virtue signaling. Virtue signaling is kind of core to a lot of what season 2 talks about. Even though it's not so much about sides, because the leftist is not the same thing as a Democrat.
So it goes.
But in a lot of
that's
conservative Republican minds, they're the same thing, because they both want, think that gay people are people. So I get that aspect of it, but
that's kind of just season 2, I think. Other than Newman, is there anything else?
I don't really have anything. I don't have anything else to add about. I mean, there's probably more I could say about season 2, but I don't give a fuck about season 2. I think it's boring. Yeah, no, I think it's boring. They explore more of Maeve's bisexual relationship. I didn't really care, because I don't think Maeve is that interesting. I think in terms of what she brings to the narrative is weak compared to everybody else. Yeah, I'm not really that invested. So no, I mean, I'm pretty much wrapping up on season 2.
Yeah, sounds good.
Season 3.
And do you want to kick off with just what the defining high note of this is, I think, for basically everyone?
Yeah, the part where, so there's this fucking masterful scene where this guy shrinks down to the size of a fucking gnat and then crawls into this dude's dick hole and then sneezes and then accidentally rips the guy in half from inside of his dick. And I think it's brilliant. I think it's genius. They built a whole set. They basically built a giant human penis for this guy to crawl inside of. And symbolically, it's dense. It's multi-layered. It's a way of saying that with great power comes great responsibility. If you ever get the urge to crawl inside someone's dick hole, just plug your nose, because you might sneeze and you might kill him. Everyday common occurrence, as you know. Millions of Americans are torn apart. Obviously, this is a reference to the fucking Ant-Man meme. That's why he included it. But that sort of kicks off the shitposty nature of season 3, which feels so different from the last 2 seasons.
Yeah. Freaking the whole season actually starts with a parody of the MCU movie It's corny. It's like everybody's teaming up. Yeah, guys, we're gonna work together.
Oh my god. Okay, so another complaint about season 2 is that at the end, they all is I have to say this about season 2 to set up for season 3, because this is the big. At the end of season 2, the boys fight Kimiko, and then it's Starlight, or not Kimiko. The boys fight Stormfront, sorry. And then it's Kimiko and Starlight and Queen Maeve, and they all beat the shit out of Stormfront, and they call her a Nazi bitch, and it's the corniest fucking shit I've ever seen in my life. Aside from just the generic there's nothing screams compelling girl drama in a TV show than calling someone a bitch, and kicking the shit out of her. That's very much so has the energy of women written by a man. But on top of that, they're calling her a Nazi bitch. And then in this season, fucking Homelander says that because Vought's releasing movies about how Stormfront was evil and betrayed them, and so Homelander calls her a Nazi bitch, and I felt like it was them jabbing at the kind of how corny it was back in season 2 when they did that unironically. I think they're kind of making fun of themselves. This is a very meta season, I feel.
Yeah. And then once they do that, it's it's basically a Key Blast versus Gallic Gun bit from Dragon Ball, and then you immediately see Homelander just staring at the movie.
So that was why I compared it to American Psycho, because it just cuts to him in the fucking theater with this just blunt, just unamused, angry expression, and it's just like zooming in on him, and this like faint, distant ringing is like fading in, and that was me for a lot of this show.
Yeah, you probably have seen that meme. It's freaking everywhere. Hold on, let me pull it up.
Trunky, how did you feel about season 3?
Yeah, I was gonna say we left it out. Definitely like we have the new character for this season who's sort of equal parts like ally to the boys, but also like a little bit oppositional. Is Soldier Boy.
Yeah, so I mentioned.
Yeah, he's literally named Soldier Boy.
Basically, the plot of this season is Butcher is he's desperate for a way to kill Homelander. It's been too long now. He's got to kill Homelander. Butcher's been put in this awkward position basically last season. Stormfront finds Becca and Butcher, and Ryan loves his mom Becca, and so does not like seeing Stormfront hurt her. So Ryan uses his powers. Ryan, as I mentioned, Homelander's son. He uses his powers on Stormfront to kill Stormfront and melts her into a nothing. She's not dead, but he fucks her up. But accidentally hurts Becca. Becca doesn't leave much of an impression across season 2. She wasn't... she's basically just Butcher's wife. And so Butcher gets put in this awkward position where this wife whom he thought was dead for all of season 1 and then for all of season 2 has spent his time trying to reunite with, but has had a hard time doing so because he can't accept that she has a son who is Homelander's son. It's not his son, and it's everything he hates. It has superpowers. So he has resentment for this child because, one, it's the son of the man he hates the most who hurt his wife. 2, it's a representation of what happened to his wife. And 3, he has superpowers. Of course Butcher's gonna hate this little fucking kid. And so now there's a 4th element where Ryan accidentally kills Becca. And so Butcher has... Becca's dying wish was for Butcher to take care of this child, and that put Butcher in an extremely awkward position. So I think it makes sense that a lot of this season it's going to be him mainly doubling down on his most toxic habits and deciding, you know what, fuck this, I need to kill Homelander now because it's not fair that she dies and Homelander gets to live. So I kind of like that.
There's the tagline, or not tagline exactly, but you see it in a lot of clips maybe. But I think sums it up really well, where he says, scorched. Sorry, let me do the voice. Scorched earth in it.
No, that Homelander was the one that said scorched earth, actually.
Well, yeah, he starts, but they both say it.
Oh, right, yeah.
He comes in.
God, that fucking scene at the beginning. Season 3, okay. I have seen season 3 multiple times, and there are people that actually try to convince me that season 3 is bad. And okay, that last episode, I will fully agree, was terrible. But those first 7 episodes are absolute fire. Like, it was so close to being the best season, and the recency bias has gone away. It's been like 2 years now, and I can still tell you, season 3 is amazing. There's so much good writing. There's like a part where Homelander comes to Butcher's home, and then he politely asks, "Can I come in?" Which he doesn't do that with anyone, but it shows that he respects Butcher more than everybody else. So he asks permission to come in, and then he and Butcher sit down and they talk, and then he, for just a brief moment, they have kind of a heart-to-heart where he's basically like, fuck Vought. Like, it could just be the two of us, scorched earth, blood and bone, only one man left standing. And I just, there's so many good moments all over season 3, just like, essentially, like, it's just that Butcher learns through Queen Maeve, because Queen Maeve also is like, no, at this point, like, Homelander needs to fucking die. Because Homelander's getting worse, basically. This is the season where he starts losing his fucking mind. It starts with him being abusive towards A-Train, where he like fucking grabs him because he's got a shake and he's like shaking his head. Starlight's getting, basically Stan Edgar's doing every single thing he can to piss Homelander off. He promotes Starlight, which pisses Homelander off. He, repeatedly is like taking Homelander off the air because he's affiliated with the Nazis, so a lot of people are really angry at him right now. He's repeatedly asked the same questions over and over in interviews. So he begins to kind of lose it until he's forced to go save this girl. This is Salt's favorite scene.
No, it is not.
It's one of your favorite scenes.
No, you literally told him you were telling me, "Oh, you're gonna laugh your ass off, Salt."
And you did. We all did.
Yeah, we did. We did.
What happens? Give us a rundown.
Okay, so Homelander has just had enough during this. He's like, "Oh, hey Chelsea, please just don't fucking jump."
For context, Chelsea wants to kill herself. She's like gonna jump off.
Yeah,
the building.
yeah.
That's
right. That's right.
It's the birthday save.
Yeah, and it's like his birthday. He's just kind of tired of all of it all. And like then you see he sees on the news like a giant TV that Stormfront actually killed herself by biting her own tongue off. I believe, right?
Yeah. Because prior to this, she kept insisting like, you have to be my Aryan king, and he's like, no, I do not want to be your Aryan king. I want the whole point is that I'm a soup. And then he like walks away, and so after that, she basically just gets depressed and kills herself.
Yeah, and basically, Homelander's just had enough of everything. You know what, like Chelsea, I think you should jump. And like Chelsea's like, I don't know if I'm not suggesting.
I'm not suggesting anymore. I love this scene because it's like it's fucking funny watching him just progress from like, Chelsea, come on, don't jump, to jump. It's not an option. You jump. I'm not suggesting. And she's like, oh God, and he's like, no God, just me, and then fucking kills her.
Basically, the only man in the sky is the title, in fact.
And so it's just a downward spiral from here. He kills one of Starlight's friends. He has a fucking meltdown on stage where he's like, you guys aren't the real heroes. I'm the real heroes. I am better. And he's like getting more and more arrogant and more psychotic. To the point where...
That's Gabe every day.
Yeah, that's true. To the point where he takes over Vought and has Stan Edgar... He takes the dirt of Stan Edgar, because, everybody in Vaught's got dirt, and gets Stan Edgar fired, and then he becomes the leader of Vought now. Alongside this, I mean, you had some complaints about Newman, right?
And not so complaints. I was just saying she... Well, I was going to say an amusing thing that she's like... a weird sort of AOC tie-in, but then also AOC is referenced.
Yeah, AOC was referenced in season 4. Both me and Salt were so confused because it was like, wait, but she's AOC.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. Like, what the hell?
But, well, yeah, I was just that she exists as a character and a little bit, and then we see her doing more things, I think, in this one.
Her plot's a fucking mess. She was introduced around... I don't even remember. She might have been introduced season 1. I don't really fucking know, but she was definitely there in season 2. It's revealed that she was... So, long ago, one of the guys that worked at the lab was an actor from The Wire, and he's in a wheelchair, and he was going to testify against Homelander, but then his head pops, and then all of Congress's head pops, too. And... Then, it's revealed at the end of season 2 that, hey, the head popper was Newman. This woman who I guess is like running for president or something.
Yeah, she's like high up in this sort of politico sphere, and she is very much themed as like this, like the warm, friendly side of we already mentioned
really
AOC.
She has the power to pop people's heads. I guess it's like a pressure
It's
type
like a
thing.
blood manipulation.
Yeah.
This gets expanded on in the sideshow, which I wouldn't recommend watching.
I don't think
I
it's
didn't
just
watch Gen
like.
V because it's mid.
I don't think it's just freaking head popping. I think she can blow up any part of the body.
Yeah,
Basically by
she
blood
fucking
pressure.
blows up a guy's jaw in season 3. So my problem is that season 2 revealed that. So season 3 was like, okay, now we need to reveal it to Huey because he's like basically working with her, and because that's how they get out of being burned. Basically, is the story is revealed that actually Stormfront's a Nazi and the boys are all great and cool and sexy. And now Huey wants to take out Soups the right way, where now he works with Newman to reduce Soup crime. And then it's revealed he finds out that Newman is the head popper. And then, so she didn't get much focus in season 2. Understandable, but it was revealed at the end. I just feel like they revealed it too soon. I feel like they were like...
You mean revealed it to us, the audience, or the
Yes.
characters?
They revealed it to us, the audience, too soon, because then they had to reveal it to the characters too soon, so that then, because she doesn't get any focus really in season 3, she gets barely any. Season 4 is kind of where she gets her time to shine, plot-wise. But in season 3, the focus is not really her. The focus is Homelander and his descent into madness, which again I also think happened a little too soon, but it was very well executed. But I just have a lot of issues with how I feel like, well, I'll say it after we wrap up season 3, but I don't think I feel like she should have been revealed at the end of season 3.
Yeah.
This video is quite bloated. We're getting close to the end, I promise. I don't want to make this too long. But fucking basically, like, season 3, what the focus is, since Newman doesn't take up Newman is really just used as an excuse for Huey to then double down on his insecurity problems, which we had believed he had overcome in season 2, because he had a whole character arc in season 2, and he felt developed. He felt like he got over his whole... I don't like that a lot of the character drama between Huey and Starlight in season 3 is that Huey feels insecure about their imbalance, where she's more strong and more famous and more powerful than him.
Yeah.
Because...
Especially because it was... Sorry.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Because he was like, from what I gathered in this beginning, is like, that was kind of the thing, is that he didn't really care about that.
Yeah, and then like which they bring up, so there's like you could pretend there's intentionality to it, but to me it just felt like it sort of came out of nowhere, especially since he keeps harping on this. I want to save you, Starlight. I'm sick of you saving me. I want to save you. Motherfucker, you did. At the end of season 2, when she's in Vought Tower, he fucking breaks into Vought Tower and then cuts off Lamplighter's hand, because Lamplighter fucking kills himself. Like I said, he dies as quickly as he's introduced. It cuts off Lamplighter's hand, uses it to open the door that she's in, and then gets her the hell out of there. So like you already did. So I don't understand really like what the purpose of this whole... It just feels like repeated character drama for the sake of drama.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something I didn't like about season 3. But a lot of season 3, and that's really the only purpose Newman exists for in season 3, is that she serves to kick that off and serve as like a justification of, well, this is why he goes back to being, you know, toxic and angry and upset. And I just feel like they should have done that better. I feel like, you know, that whole plot point's messy. Either way, he and Butcher basically have to find a way to take out Homelander and the other Soups. And so they go to Russia. And as I had already criticized this prior, but Russia is just a bunch of Vought references. There's no Russian superheroes, apparently.
Okay, here's my confusion. Why didn't the Soviets have their own version of Vought?
That's what I didn't get. Like, why is Vought so... I mean, I know it's America, and that's kind of realistic, but, like, why didn't we have any Russian superheroes? That would have been sick as fuck.
Actually, I think what... Okay, now, this is, like, off topic somewhat, but I feel like that this show should have had, like, a rival company. I think that would have been cool. I don't know.
Like the chum bucket,
just-
but Vought.
Yeah.
They have to commit though to one thing early, and they already did like, well, Vought is everything. Vought is everywhere. They've done everything. Like they can't back out of that. Except for maybe being this like there was a rival for a bit, and they have it in like flashbacks or whatever, but then they crushed it. But
Either way, they go to Russia. There's this fucking scene where a hamster goes nuts and kills everybody. And then after the hamster gets away, they fucking find the weapon, and the weapon is actually they try to find the weapon because it's supposedly the weapon that killed Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy was Homelander before Homelander. While Homelander's Superman, Soldier Boy is Captain America. He's played by Jensen Ackles of Supernatural fame. And he's just as hot here as he was in Supernatural. And they break him out of the Russian...
more even.
What?
More even.
Oh, yeah, true. Salt's not into men, though, so we're kind of alienating him right now.
Gay.
Well, it's not gay for Trunk. But yeah, like, they break him out, and he kind of creates a divide between the boys, because Huey and Butcher, they don't get quite what they want. They don't have a weapon that can kill Homelander, because it turns out he was never actually killed. He was just taken as a prisoner. But they kind of see an opportunity where it's like, we may not have a weapon against Homelander, but we have someone who might be able to kill him. And who definitely... Huh?
Oh, sorry. I was going to explain, like, his superpower, but go ahead.
Okay, let me just wrap up and then you can do that.
Yeah.
And he definitely would have reason to want to kill Homelander, because look, like, he basically got replaced. You know, so that's something that they can capitalize on. So they look at it from that angle of like, yeah, he's probably not the best person, but it's a chance to take out Homelander. So they choose to capitalize on that. And they're like, look, he's not a good person, but we're using a bad person to destroy a worse person. So in some ways it's like, yeah, we're good. But Soldier Boy has personally affected Mother's Milk. So Mother's Milk kind of takes the opposite approach of like, I fucking forgot to mention. So alongside them getting Soldier Boy, Queen Maeve dealed them this stuff called Temp V, which is, it's like V, but temporary, 24 hours. And Butcher has it. Huey finds out about it. He starts using it. But Mother's Milk does not support that. And he doesn't support them allying with Soldier Boy. And that's kind of the character dynamic through a lot of this season, which I thought was really, really good. I kind of felt skeptical when I heard that Butcher was going to have powers, but then I saw this spin on it. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. That whole ethical dilemma of like, should we be using powers? Should anyone have this kind of power? And also, is it ethical to manipulate a bad person if it means that you can take out another bad person? So that's sort of like, I found all that really compelling. What were you going to say, Salt?
Okay, I was going to explain his power. Like, once he gets out of the Russian facility that he was in, he immediately has, like, this beam come out of his chest, and it hits Kimiko, and it actually takes away her powers. It takes away her powers, and that's, like, why they want to use Soldier Boy to get rid of Homelander, because, like, Homelander, he's basically unstoppable, and if you get rid of his powers that make him Homelander, then he's screwed. He's screwed.
Yeah, and so, oh my god, like, fuck, season 3 is so good, because it's like, every single episode is more and more tense than the last. Where it's like, you know, Homelander, he's getting worse and worse. They finally find Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy decides on this temporary team up, and there's people like Starlight and Mother's Milk thinking like, hey, there's tension between the boys now where they're like, hey, this is not a good idea. And I love when shows like they have all these different plot threads and all the plot threads are getting equally as unhinged as one another at the same time. I love when shows do that, and it just got so gripping. Like it's probably some of the best
like
drama.
an orchestra.
Yeah, it's like some of the best drama the show has had since season 1. But like honestly kind of better cuz like it's just so tense every single episode. You've even got like this whole scenario where Soldier Boy, you know, he personally affected Mother's Milk, and Mother's Milk is very upset that they would side with him just to take out Homelander, which shows you how hypocritical Butcher is. But alongside that, Soldier Boy was also very abusive to Black Noir, so we kind of learn a little bit about Black Noir, and he's terrified. He like takes out his little thing that tells you where he is,
whatever,
and he runs away. And yeah, like there's so many different compelling things that come out from this. Not all of it's handled the best because, as I said, Mother's Milk still does not get a lot of screen time. There's a bit of a cuck plot where he's being cucked by Matt Walsh.
Yeah, I always forget that he's the. Yeah, I'm always surprised by it every single time. Like, wait a second, this guy's just Matt Walsh.
He looks like him and acts like him. It's crazy. So I was a little underwhelmed by Mother's Milk's character, but yeah, I don't know. It's just really, really compelling drama. It's really good.
And
go ahead.
And just I think the major thing to focus on with the near the end, especially of season 3, but like we get a lot of just unmitigated Soldier Boy, and through him learn about a dynamic and build up to a dynamic between him and Homelander, and like everybody, and it's just. The stage presence of it all is really gripping, and
it's especially interesting because it's like Soldier Boy is basically just a boomer. He's a fucking boomer.
Yeah,
like he's very like, back in my day we were hardened, when really he didn't do half the fucking things that he claims he did. And there's this fucking great scene where he's talking to Butcher and they're sharing their trauma, basically, where Butcher talks about how his dad was really abusive, which then gets explored in a fantastic episode where you get to see it in kind of a never-ending nightmare. And it was done really well, where it's just going through every mistake he ever made, about how he blames himself for his brother killing himself, and how his father would reward bad actions and and punish them for doing normal things like reading, because his father was a bastard through and through. But then like Soldier Boy, he gives away a little bit about himself too, where he's talking about how his dad called him a cheater and said he took a shortcut for getting when he got his superpowers, and how he, much like Homelander, fought for his father's approval and never got it. But then like, you know, and it juxtaposes Soldier Boy's outdated views to Homelander's more modern views, and how they're different but ultimately have the same core.
Mm-hmm. And
then go ahead.
I don't know if you're getting to the last, like a particularly like sort of poignant thing where like with a lot of the other, I've talked a lot about like things being vulgar and blunt, but like they you know, make a particularly poignant moment with Soldier Boy here, where like we find out that they used him as like the sperm donor basically to create Homelander, I believe it is, and or something, and we, you know, they have this like little fight thing, and he has this moment where he's like, look, like I would have, like, I don't even, like, I would have wanted to be a good father to you. Like, that's the one thing, like, I wouldn't have tried to get in your way or any, like, whatever for them. Like, and then to have that, yeah.
So I thought that was a good plot dynamic for the finale. I think the finale is underwhelming, and I'll get into that in a minute, but I do think part of the problem is that the finale already happened.
Sure.
Because Herogasm was the peak of this season. Because we talk about that orchestra of like all the different dynamics happening at the same time. Herogasm is called Herogasm because it's the fucking orgasm of this entire. It is the raunchiest episode. It's like a massive fucking superhero orgy. There's so many titties and dicks and fucking deep fucks a octopus thing, and you had this plot point bubbling up of A-Train virtue signaling and pretending he cares about BLM and all this other stuff, but he really doesn't. And then he tries to get Blue Hawk, a notoriously racist superhero, to make a public apology to the black community, but he ends up assaulting a bunch of people there, including the A-Train's brother. So now A-Train is part of this Herogasm thing, and he gets revenge for his brother by killing Blue Hawk, which was fucking insane. It was a really
cathartic.
It was so goddamn, like, because A-Train up until this point has been super unlikable, so to see him finally do something awesome was really, really good. And the way he kills him too is symbolically dense, because that's how a lot of people of color were killed back in the day. They were strapped to a horse and dragged across the ground. So you had that going on.
Last thing on that, if I may, and it's like self-sacrificial, because we in a set where there's been this whole thing about like him not being able to use his powers or not. Like we don't need to get into it, but he just like snaps and does it, and then like has a heart attack, and there's like so there's that element of like he's not like, yes, it's revenge, but he's also like there's a bit of like it's at cost to himself, and it's like he's doing this good thing. It's cool.
Yeah, and at the same time that's going on, you've got the Huey, like it starts with Butcher fighting Homelander, and then it starts with Soldier Boy fighting Homelander, and then Butcher joins in, and then Huey joins in, and I got like, when I was watching this, I felt like my dad watching football, where I was like, hell yeah, and then like Butcher, because I'm like, hell yeah, and then fucking Huey, and I'm just fucking like, I'm getting so hype where I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is peak. I remember like Salt was really confused during a lot of the grosser parts when I had said that Herogasm was the best episode of the season, but then we got to that part, and all of them were just like, no, okay, I see it now.
Yeah, no, because like it was like the grossest shit that I've ever seen. Like, okay, why is this Gabe's favorite? I really need to know. And then can I please explain the final fight?
Yes.
Okay, so basically, Soldier Boy, like, there's these like the TNT twins, are they called? A person like Soldier Boy is killing like everybody from his original team. Basically.
And they were there, yeah.
Yeah. And like he gets really angry and just like unsoup laser beams them out of existence, and that just like ruins the whole Herogasm party. And then like the best part, Butcher comes in and kills the shrink guy. Just stomps on him, and it's great.
Yeah, like it's such a fucking crazy goddamn episode. And of course, like I said, it's the most raunchy and practically like I did show this show to my mom, and that part I really had to skip like a lot. Mm-hmm. I couldn't skip all of it because it was like there were so many key factors I wanted her to see, but I definitely skipped the fucking. There's a scene where it shows a dude's ass on the toilet bowl.
Yeah,
his hairy ass is, but as vile as it's as vile as it is fucking intense and just so fun to watch. It's like the payoff of so many different things in this show, and they're like holding Homelander down, and then Soldier Boy's he's like rearing up his like power thing to get rid of their powers, but then Homelander like screams and then flies up into the sky, and it's just a good ass episode. Like I could go on and on. It is my favorite episode of the whole show. Next to the next to the first episode, that is. I think they're about equal in quality.
But it's almost, I think it's definitely to season 3's credit that it is, like you're saying, like a climactic sort of approach than a cold open. That's really cool.
Yeah. And then it's kind of, they never quite make an episode like that again from this point forward.
Yeah, so there's 2 more episodes left in that season after this.
7 was good. It was mostly just interpersonal drama. It had that reveal you mentioned of like Soldier Boy is Homelander's dad, which makes you think like, is he gonna kill Homelander? Is he not? What's gonna happen there? And I liked that whole element. We explore Butcher's trauma, like I said, with his father and how his father was a bastard who abused him and just basically taught him backwards, like rewarded him for hitting his principal and beat him for protecting his brother and doing anything a good human being would do, which explains why Butcher has gone down the path of hatred that he has. I don't have much else. I mean, basically we learned that the Temp V that Huey and Butcher are taking gives you brain worms. So Butcher, even though he initially seems like he's just not going to tell Huey, he knocks Huey out and leaves him at like a gas station or something. And then decides, fuck Huey. It's just going to be me and Soldier Boy. We're going to go to Vought Tower. So I'm thinking, when I get to this part, I have to wait like a torturous week because I'm fucking addicted to this show. I'm like having the time of my life with this show, watching it every single week, and I'm like, the next episode's got to be peak. It's the finale. Like, how could they? It's been so solid through this whole season. How could they fuck this up? I had predicted it was going to end with Soldier Boy because we just got some backstory for Noir, where Noir sees like weird critter guys. And so I was thinking it was going to end with Noir fighting Soldier Boy while Butcher fights Homelander again. Well, Butcher and the boys fight Homelander, including Maeve. And maybe even A-Train, since he was getting kind of a redemption, but I also was wondering maybe he's dead. They didn't make it clear. So Maeve's not dead, even though we thought she was for a couple episodes. A-Train's not dead, even though we thought he was last episode.
He gets a heart transplant,
Yeah, he gets Blue Hawk's heart.
which is funny.
Black Noir dies. And this reiterates the problem that has been present since season 1 and since season 2, because Black Noir just last episode was finally getting development, and before he even gets a chance to fight Soldier Boy, Homelander kills him. I didn't care if he died. I was just wanting Soldier Boy to be the one to kill him. Like, I was hoping to see like a hopeless struggle against Soldier Boy, but then he fails in the end, you know?
Yeah.
But instead, fucking Homelander kills him. And
I genuinely, sorry.
Go ahead.
I didn't even think. I thought it was going to be. I wasn't. So I don't remember exactly, but I don't think they show him like. I was like not sure if he was dead or not in that moment. I thought it was going to be like, because we've shown that he's like super durable, maybe some amount of regeneration, unclear. And like I thought it might have been like he gets eviscerated, left for dead, but maybe he's got a little bit of life left, and then that will be the dynamic for the confrontation. But that's just it. He's gone.
He just fucking dies. And then we get everybody versus Soldier Boy finally meets Homelander, and he does the thing that you said where he's like, you're a fucking disappointment. And it's because Homelander is so desperate for approval that he finds it pathetic. And he sticks to his word that...
And it's like he's... Sorry.
Go ahead.
And it's like he's, repeating his father's mistakes as well, like sort of grappling with it, but falling to it at the same time.
Which I think is compelling, that generational trauma aspect of it. But it's just not that good of a fight. I want to say...
Yeah, that's true.
The special effects have been very solid for a great deal of this show. Stormfront's lightning, the part where Robin gets fucking ripped in, the whale, the fucking... even the urethra... where the guy gets in the... all this shit has been stellar in terms of presentation, and Herogasm had some of the best choreography the series has had, because it was pretty messy up until this point, but they're getting better at it, and there was a lot of good, actual good, fucking effects in Herogasm. This last episode, this finale of season 3 looks like garbage.
Okay, I gotta mention this. It looks like there's this one falling off the freaking tower station, and it kind of looks like the that one scene in Black Widow.
Yeah, no, Soldier, it's Soldier Boy and all of them versus Homelander, but then Ryan comes in, tries to stop him because Homelander's his dad. And also I should mention that Butcher, I mean, we expected this, but Butcher, in his V panic attacks, told Ryan that he blames him for Becca's death. So now Ryan is kind of mad at Butcher and is more affectionate to Homelander since Homelander gave him validation. And fucking...
To me, can I mention this? I feel like that dime flip was just kind of like I understand it's the affection part, but like freaking Ryan
I mean,
saw...
it's just... Go ahead.
I mean, Ryan saw that like Homelander liked Stormfront, the person that like harmed his mom, and Ryan cares more about his mom than anything else. And like the season like just switch on a dime to Homelander is like, I understand it's the affection part, but it did feel a little like...
I think it's just, I mean, I get the intention because it was to juxtapose, because season 2 ended with Ryan going with Butcher and Homelander watching with dismay, and now season 3 ends with Ryan going with Homelander and Butcher watches with dismay. It's a little repetitive though, but it's neither here nor there. Point is, Soldier Boy tries to kill Ryan. Butcher doesn't like that, so Butcher fights Soldier Boy, and Soldier Boy calls him a cuck. But fuck you, because it was rape. It's not really cuckoldry. And so it's everybody versus Soldier Boy, and then Maeve fights Homelander. And then she hurts Homelander. I don't really know how, but she made Homelander bleed. And then Soldier Boy's about to blow up, so she fucking dives and crashes him out the window, and then it's this explosion. And that was like the ugliest fucking explosion I had ever seen. It looked so fucking bad. I could see some of the chroma key.
It really did look like the freaking like Black Widow movie scene.
It just looked so bad. And then yeah. So with that last episode, I was very let down. It ended with the meme, one of the most iconic memes of The Boys, which is Homelander introduces his son to the public. Somebody throws a cup at the kid, so Homelander kills him. And everybody's shocked, but it's like a Smiling Friends scene where they're all like shocked, but then they just start clapping, and then he's like, "All right."
Yeah.
Which I think that actually happens. That actually happened in Smiling Friends. In the
It
Mr.
literally
Frog.
did when Mr. Frog ate the producer.
Everybody's like cheering. He's like, "Yay!"
Yeah.
So that leads to season 4, which I watched 6 episodes of. And
Okay, we gotta get onto that now.
well, this is the last topic. This is the longest I've had to record a oh my god. I'm not going to tell you the time so I don't. Season 4 is terrible. Like, I said season 2 was mediocre, but it was just like disappointing. It had good moments, you know. There were some good lines, like Stormfront saying, people like what I say. They just don't like the word Nazi is all. So there was still some strong dialogue and strong themes in season 2. Season 4 is a mess, and I don't even know where to fucking begin.
Oh my god, let's just say it. Like, there are too many plot points.
This show has written itself into a corner because those plot threads that we talked about in season 1 and season 2 that went nowhere, the V all over the globe and the Soup mental hospital, they don't get much time to breathe in season 4 either. Instead, we're just introducing more shit. The issues I've been talking about, how we just introduce a thing and then it dies off as quickly as it enters the narrative, happens like 10 times over in this show, in this particular season.
And this, I would say, yes, to your point about season 2, like, it's sort of the extra nail, as it were. And it's just that, like, it should be, they're trying to like escalate because it's like, oh, you know, the stakes are ever higher, you know, like calamity's just around the corner, and there's just a lot of stuff sort of put together. I will say though, if I think it starts off with a lot of promise. I think there's really interesting dynamic, especially with the introduction of Sage specifically.
I was gonna say Sage is my favorite part of season 4. She's smart, and there's like, I was like, oh, are we finally bringing back the 4D chess that I was missing since like season 1, like strategy where she's like pinning, like she's like she has Homelander take the Matt Walsh guy and a couple other of his loyalists, and then has the 7 beat the shit out of them until they die, and then dumps their bodies in a Starlight rally to make it look like Starlight's people did it. And I was like, that was what I fucking missed from this show, was that type of shit.
And if I just and the introduction too is like, you get that sense of Homelander descending ever further into his sort of power mad obsessions, all this, but also like he realizes that everybody that he surrounded himself with are sycophants. he's so freaking fed up with them. He's like, he like makes up this preposterous like deep blow A train, and like they go like just to test them.
That fucking shit, we were like losing it because he was I've seen edits where they make him like hug A train. What? pull out your arms and hug A train right now.
Okay.
So then it leads him to go to Sister Sage. Her whole thing is her superpower is being like super genius. It's undefined how, but like smarter than anyone. Blah blah blah. Super genius. And she's also black. And we've seen Homelander being
a woman of color is speaking. Listen up.
Real, and Homelander is, again, he's not like I said, he's not super invested, but he's like a little casually, race about that. But he goes into and sees her and is like, look, I'm like, she's basically like knows what's up, it's all he's got too many yes men, blah blah blah, and so they basically give this quid pro quo kind of proposition where he's like, look, I know you've been ignored and nobody's ever actually like done, made you feel like you were useful for anything. What if I did that for you, and I overlook, like, I don't care about anything else you do, you can work for me, I need somebody to actually be competent. And like he has that glimmer of self-awareness because he wants nothing more than to actually be admired and like keep going through it, and he can't just do that himself. And it's a really compelling like premise.
That and also I think it is fantastic of an idea to have him start having a midlife crisis. That was also a good
yes
idea.
Yes.
So I had hope that this was going to be a good ass season.
Yeah, and there was. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, just because I'm.
Okay, there was also this like really funny scene of like this montage of like Homelander just going through his daily life, and the camera just kind of zooms out. Yeah. And like I don't understand how it's not a meme.
So, yeah, I was like, okay, this is really good for the first 2 episodes. And then things started to fall apart around the middle section. Kind of what ended up happening is there's like one episode where Homeland, just as an example, because the big problem with this season is that it's just shit happening. And I think part of it is that they want to make it shocking, so they don't know how. Because then we cut to the scene where this guy with clone powers. There's Stormfront 2.0. Just another Stormfront, but this time like a Christian conservative Stormfront. She brings nothing new to the table.
She is nothing but right-wing talking points.
She is Ezekiel, Blue Hawk, and Stormfront mixed together into one big thing. I already did a video illustrating my political problems with this show, so I'm going to stay away from those. But, yeah, like, she is essentially just those three villains mixed together into one, and she is the least interesting villain the show has had because it's not new. This is not something. The most new thing we have is that she's a pedophile.
And she is nothing but right-wing talking points. Like, she will just say, like, vaccines and freaking abortion.
So
like,
that leads to like, I wish they had explored that, like, the hypocrisy of, like, because that could have been a good thing to comment on, the hypocrisy of the way people view women when they commit pedophilia versus men when they do it. You know, how men, when a man is a pedophile, they're publicly chastised, as they should be, but when a woman is, it's like fetishized and like, oh yeah, that's good actually, when it's not. It's never okay under any circumstances. And so I thought that was going to be like but no, that's just kind of offhand referenced.
Yeah, like, it was like a plot to, like, cancel her, but, like, it didn't work.
That's another thing that keeps fucking happening this season, is that, oh, we're building up to this thing, but it doesn't go anywhere, and then it leads us into another situation.
Yeah, like, it's a cool idea, I think. Like, I get what they're going for. It's kind of this, like, the villains turn it around, because at this point, the Homelander, what do they call them? Like, home, whatever, it doesn't matter.
Homelanders.
The point is that they're, like, completely, like, they're, like, at actual cult level now, and they will overlook anything. They're like the makings of just blah blah blah, and that's kind of interesting. Like, oh, we've got our figurehead, and we'll do anything, we'll excuse anything, but they also don't like do anything with it from there. It's like, oh, they've excused this, okay, and then they're like, okay, it hasn't what Firecrackers done hasn't been brought up at all since that point even.
And it doubles down on all, like, the gross stuff used to feel narratively compelling and necessary, but now it just feels like they're throwing everything at the wall they can possibly think of to see if it sticks, which Kripke himself has even admitted. He just includes Huey sitting on a cake because he wants to be gross and he thought it was funny.
Male sexual assault is funny, guys.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not going to talk about that because I already made a video fucking complaining about that. But we get a shocking scene where, because at least with the urethra thing, like, I thought, like, it was disgusting, and I literally paused and, like, just paced outside for a little bit, rethinking my life choices when I saw that. But it had a purpose. It had a message, which is you can't just play around with superpowers because bad shit's gonna happen. But what was the purpose of seeing the clone guy eat his own ass and do, like, a human centipede thing, other than just to be like, wow, that was certainly a scene from The Boys?
Yeah, and what was the point of, like, most of episode 6? Like, what was the point of that?
You kind of... I got this impression. I've got this impression from some. I'm not super into Garth Ennis stuff, but, like, I feel like this might be one of the things that they've taken where it's like, on its face, they're trying to do, like, a haha hypocrisy thing. Like, these guys are sort of, like, representing a lot of vaguely conservative ideas, all these sorts of things. But then look, they're actually a bunch of sex pests, and they're, like, really degenerate. But, like, at a certain point, it just becomes, oh wow, they're gross because they're doing gross things, and it's like, okay, like,
it just felt more like the comic. Like, a lot of this season feels like the comic. But
and you wanted to
worse,
say
because that's what I was building up to.
Okay.
The comic. So in like episode 6, I guess I gotta talk about it because it's so fucking core to my issues with it. Kripke had said in an interview that he had Huey basically gets sexually assaulted by Tech Knight, a parody of Batman, in episode 6 of season 4 because, and I quote, it was funny. And while there is a scene of him opening up to Starlight, that's not really about what happened to him. It's about what happened in the last episode, and then this on top of it. But for the most part, it's clear he's not taking any of this shit seriously. Now, male sexual assaults kind of happened all over this, but, like, men don't have gills to finger, so that's never actually going to happen to you. Men don't have penises that are like long tentacle things. That's never going to happen to you. You're not going to get one wrapped around your throat. It's so cartoonishly unrealistic that it's never going to happen. But what happened to Huey can happen to you. That is like a realistic thing. And while it is absurd and stupid that he's like, oh, sit on a cake, oh, tickle your feet, and then like a vague reference to I'm going to fucking cut holes into your body and fuck them, the third of which doesn't happen because he gets saved, it's still sexual assault. Like, it's still something he was desperately he did not want and was still happening to him. And the fact that Kripke thinks that that is a compelling comedy dynamic just kind of goes to show that he's a hypocrite, because he wanted to take sexual assault against women seriously, and he would never put a woman in any of these scenarios, but he thinks it's funny to put a man in all of these scenarios. And that to me is not activism. That's disgusting. And that was what killed my interest in this show moving forward. The comic, Huey also gets sexually assaulted, and I think it is like full on assaulted. And it then touches on his trauma from that and how he's affected by it afterwards. It's not just included for funny, ha-ha. It's actually a serious thing that he has to overcome in the comic. That is the one thing I'll give the comic over the show, is that at the very least, it says sexual assault is serious and bad.
One more since we're sort of doing comics, if I'm is this right? There's this classic tweet, as it were, with Garth Ennis coming up with a new comic idea. What if the Teen Titans all sucked each other off and got herpes? That'd be so funny. Garth Ennis sitting down to write the comic. These poor fucking kids. They didn't ask for this herpes. They're just kids. And it's like a really stupid, but like a compelling sort of duality.
That's kind of, I mean, yeah, like it's the fact that he took it seriously enough to at least show that Huey's poorly affected by it. That it makes him so much better than Kripke. But in my opinion, Kripke, while he's doing all this preaching, he is the epitome of what he criticizes. I think he's a virtue signaling piece of shit, because he didn't say anything on Tomer Capone's Zionism. That's another thing
the actor from Trunky.
Yeah. And as far as I could tell, he's not gone from the narrative, so that's also something I take issue with regarding this show.
Yeah.
I don't want to focus too much on that, because I know people are already going to comment that I'm like, that's not what this video is about. I already did a video on this. If you really want to hear my take on it, I'm going to link it in the description. But kind of just back to my issues with the show. A lot of this feels like, you remember season 2 when Starlight killed a man?
Mm-hmm.
And not much comes of it. Like, the man had a family and she doesn't react much to it. It's kind of just like, yeah, whatever. That's what a lot of this season felt like. A lot of this felt like it came out of nowhere and it didn't add anything and nothing changed as a result. A good example being Huey's dad. That whole thing. Huey's dad has had such little presence throughout this show that for him to get this almost seemingly out of nowhere, like, drama plot of him, oh, he's dying, and then like he gives him V to bring him back, but it was a bad idea because he starts developing dementia and killing everybody in the hospital.
Becomes an asshole too.
Yeah,
like, what the hell was that about?
And then this sad scene where Huey has to kill his own dad. This felt so out of nowhere, and it felt like it wasn't earned. And the same applies to the. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just with that, like I think that's like another thing where it's like, it's a kind of, I like the ending specifically, like in isolation with him like confronting his dad with it. There's just so much needless buildup, and the buildup isn't compelling really because we don't care about his dad or know much about it. Like, there's some interesting things with how they wrap it up, but it's like if they had spent like one episode, you know, on the dynamic between Huey and his dad, like fleshing him out a bit more, and then one episode this happens, and then they get the like just like condense it and then do other things. I don't know, would have been way better.
And the same thing happens with Frenchie's plot, where Frenchie's revealed to be bisexual and he's got a boyfriend. And I remember I was complaining about the Blacklight Liberation Army. I was thinking, oh, are we finally going to learn about the Blacklight Liberation Army? Are we finally going to learn about them? But
Nope.
instead, we cut away to Frenchie having, like, guilt over the people he's killed. And one of the people he's killed is the family of his boyfriend, who he doesn't think he should be with. And we find that out the same episode that the boyfriend finds out. So we don't get any time to have... This is like one of those classic plot fucking dynamics where, you know, we have a lot of time where we're worried that the person's going to find out. And then when the moment they do happens, it hits. It's like the all is lost moment for a lot of movies. We don't get that tension. We don't get to appreciate that tension because he finds out pretty quickly after we do.
Yeah.
And also the fact that Frenchie and his boyfriend, they have like no chemistry also. It's probably worse than fucking Huey and Starlight, I'm going to be real.
Yeah, we just
Fail
don't
to see
get much
the
screen time.
point of it, honestly. No, I just didn't see the point of it. Also, I do have some like complaints. Like, I feel like how you could have done like Huey's dad's death. Okay, so basically, like, I like the idea of Huey getting V, but I think how it should have been done better is that like Huey gets a flashback to his cat that had to be put down because that was mentioned in the like I think the next episode.
Yeah.
And like he should have gotten like a flashback to him with his dad and about the cat. Like it's kind of like a tough lesson that, well, maybe some things like it's time for them to go and like they can't really live like as like a husk of like of what they used to be.
Yeah.
And like he just doesn't give him the V, and then the episode, I know that's gonna be kind of cliche, but the episode kind of ends with like the heart monitoring ending, but like that wouldn't be out of the pocket for the boys, let's be real.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the makings of something compelling here, but I don't really I wanted, because he had so little involvement in the previous seasons, I just wanted him to stay the whole show as just a funny character that shows up sometimes.
Yeah.
But now that lighthearted aspect has been turned into just being just as dark and just as edgy as everything else in the show up until this point.
That whole dementia bit, it made me think, okay, does getting V make you an asshole?
It was part of the stroke, I think, is the idea. So like it was enough to make him healthy again, but he still like had brain damage, something like that.
Yeah, I don't know how it all works. They
Pretty hand wavy, just vibes based. It's fun.
Shit just fucking happens this season. At one point they try to get Stan Edgar out of prison and make a deal with him because he's upset that Newman injected her daughter with V. And now her daughter's like Medusa or whatever. So he's like, okay, I'll take you to a vaccine, or not a vaccine, a virus that can kill Homelander. So they go to a zoo where they're attacked by animals, and Newman finds them. And then she frees Stan Edgar. And then the next episode is about the Tech Night party orgy shit. And it's so messy. There's so much happening at the same time. You got the dynamic between Starlight and Firecracker where they've got like a girl drama situation going on. And I do like that it's felt... I'm going to sound like one of those cringe guys that is like, oh, this show's gone woke. I do think Starlight's character up until now has been obnoxious at times. I found her kind of obnoxious in the first 3 seasons because it just felt like she was kind of a goody two-shoes a lot of the time, and she was always sort of their mouthpiece for just saying whatever. And so now finally she's flawed, and we touch on shitty things she did in her past, like spreading rumors that Firecracker was slept with someone to get to where she is.
And like what the right ringers are gonna think, the abortion.
And yeah, the abortion. And then eventually, once all this comes out, she beats the shit out of Firecracker on camera.
And
Yeah.
I'm just, okay, it hasn't been explained in the 7 episodes, but how did Firecracker get the medical records?
Who the fuck knows, man?
Sage gave it. I assume she just knows because she's a genius.
This season, I mean, I've said all the complaints I've got. This season has been a mess. Every part of it has been, when I'm not bored, I'm annoyed, and when the dialogue's gotten worse. It used to be so good. It used to be such charming dialogue, such memorable dialogue. Now the dialogue is critical soup theory and soup lives matter. That was season 3, but still, soup lives matter. And fucking, what was the other one that
I also think that the show's satire is just gone worse. Like,
yeah,
it
like,
is like,
Well,
season 3 season 3 there was like a parody of the Pepsi ad that I thought was fucking hilarious. This season there's not much of that kind of stuff. It's they reference NFTs.
yeah.
Yeah, I think the main thing is they don't like the and this is where we get at like the season 2 things. They're not necessarily more like over the top or just like bald faced like in there to the point where it's just disappointing than before. Like when they are, it's just that there's so many more of those moments. There's no counterfoil or not no, but very few. Like there's not like depthful moments like with the Soldier Boy stuff. There's not as you know,
because none of it's ever given enough time to breathe. It's never given enough time to be fleshed out or feel earned.
So you just end up with like the stuff that is hacky when taken in isolation, and it's just in isolation.
I mean, so
Yeah.
Unless y'all got any other topics, I'm kind of ready to wrap it up with what is essentially the biggest disappointment to me.
Okay.
Do y'all
I had
have-
one thing.
Yeah,
I
go
had
ahead.
one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
But I'm worried this might be your disappointment. The one other thing that I will say that I enjoyed or like about this season is the A-Train as a character.
Okay,
Less so his reaction with Huey, but I think his final development, his whole thing with this season is like finally wanting out and like looking at himself critically, and that's the part that
And
maybe Sage.
I like that Mother's Milk has become kind of his mentor in that regard. That's not what I was going to reference, by the way. But
Okay.
Mother's Milk and Starlight both look fucking weird this season. They look completely different.
They do.
A lot of people made fun of Starlight's face. I'm not going to do that. That's kind of mean, but she does look different, and it did kind of take me off guard a little bit. It took a little getting used to. Mother's Milk's lost some weight. Thought that was pretty funny. What I was going to say...
Sorry, continue.
No, go ahead, because I'm...
No, I was just gonna say, like, for a second I thought they changed actors because like, he seems so much smaller.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real. I thought it was a different person. I did not. If you told me that was Mother's Milk, I would not have believed you.
I only knew it was him from the voice alone. That was it.
Yeah. The voice was. I was like, oh, that's him.
So
Disappointment.
here's the main thing that disappointed me in season 4. When I had finished season 3, I was like, okay, that Butcher backstory was fantastic. I want them to do that to Homelander. They did this season. I got exactly what I asked for, but I didn't get what I wanted. Like everything else, and it's core to how everything in this season, it feels like it comes out of nowhere, and it doesn't feel earned. It feels really bloated. It feels like it's written itself into a corner. It feels like there's way too fucking much shit happening at the same time. And you do have like the funny moments, like fucking Will Ferrell showing up for a fucking scene that was hilarious, but it feels like this Homelander scene, this Homelander backstory is the perfect example of what I mean. He has an argument with Ryan, and I will say also like Butcher's characterization was fantastic this season. Because Butcher has a great conversation with Ryan that actually made me tear up. It's the only part of the whole season I actually felt what the show wanted me to feel. Butcher
I
Butcher also is starting to see voices. He's got basically a devil and an angel on his shoulder. One of them is the comedian from Watchmen, and the other one is Becca. And he's all. I think the I usually hate when characters just randomly start seeing voices or hearing voices and seeing like hallucinations out of nowhere. But he has an in-lore explanation for why, which is his brainworms. I think that's also pretty cool.
Yeah.
So they did good with Butcher. They didn't do amazing with Homelander. He's definitely as unhinged as he'll ever be, but nothing that happened this season shocked me as much as season 3 did. Because he goes to the lab that he grew up in as a kid after he has an argument with Ryan. He starts talking to his reflection again, which already happened in season 3. It was shocking the first time. Second time, it's really not. And then he goes to the lab that he grew up in and just basically does to them what they did to him. He has one guy burned in an incinerator, and you see the guy like burn alive, so I felt that made it less disturbing because you got to see the crappy Terminator-esque CGI of the guy just getting burned alive. It didn't really... And then the second one, he tells a story about how one of the other ones caught him jerking off one time, so he makes him jerk off for the amusement of everybody else, and then lasers his dick off and crushes his head beneath his boot. Which was, it was uncomfortable and disturbing, and he was Joker laughing, which I thought was really, funny, but it didn't feel like it fit. Like, it just felt like it was shocking to be shocking, because Homelander's character is not... Sexual shame is not a part of Homelander's character. Right? Like...
Yeah.
He literally, at the end of season 2, he's like jerking off on top of a building, just saying, I am the greatest, I'm the whatever. That is the opposite of sexual shame. That's him literally doing it in public. That's like arrogance. So I didn't really get the significance of this whole force this guy to masturbate and like laser his dick off part.
Can I mention something that I found weird?
Yeah.
Okay, so like the director woman of this lab, I believe, like she like goes up and like goes into the room that she did all the experiments on Homelander with. And
The bad
she
room.
verbatim, I believe, says that like, oh, I'm not afraid of you, Homelander. Even if you kill all of them, like, what is it gonna mean? I'm not afraid of this. And then like at the end of the episode, she is afraid.
So that was weird, but I thought that was the only part of this whole backstory part that was actually good, and the reason was because they weren't trying so hard. The other two is like way too, like it was so graphic and so uncomfortable and drawn out that I'm gonna be disturbed, but I'm not gonna be shocked because I have expected it from this show already. We're 4 seasons in. That part right there was more terrifying than either of those scenes because she's talking up about how she's not scared of him, about how they had every right to be scared of him, about how he deserved all of this actually. So he kills everyone, dumps their bodies in the bad room, and then locks her into the bad room with those bodies and lasers the door shut so that she can't get out, leaving her to just basically starve to death in there. And then he leaves with blood all over his face and a smile. And you didn't get to see him kill them. You didn't get to see him do any of this. You just see the aftermath and her being left in there. And that, as a concept to me, is terrifying. Because imagine this. The way you die is that you get locked in a room with just a bunch of dead bodies. And you're locked in this room forever, for the rest of your life. And you're just left to starve to death.
Yeah.
That is, I think, a much more terrifying concept than, haha, please jerk off so I can laser your dick off.
Yeah.
I liked that particularly for sure.
Yeah, no, that was a good scene.
This show's a
I
fucking
take it
mess. We've been talking for 3 hours. I did not expect this to be 3 hours. I tried to reduce it as much as I could. I highly doubt I'll even finish this season, to be honest with you. But I did want to talk about it because I felt like it was worth talking about at least. Is there any final thoughts we want to give before we kind of just end it?
I'm going to watch the final episode of season 4, and depending on how it ends, I will be dropping it if it's bad, and if it's still good, I'll consider watching season 5 because it feels wrong watching this show now with like all the recent controversy and like how hypocritical this show is and Eric Kripke is now.
Yeah, also the fucking like they criticize sensationalism and all that. Then there's like a whole stretch where they do a bad Mortal Kombat reference, which was corny and cringe. And like putting Homelander in Mortal Kombat 1 feels hypocritical too.
Yeah.
But, you know, whatever. I'm tired. I gotta end this fucking video.
Go eat your steak.
all right. Yeah, sounds good.
So, but yeah, what were you? Do you want to give any final thoughts, Trunk?
No, I think I've said pretty much everything I wanted to say. Nice talking, the overviews of the higher and low points of the show, and basically just seeing a little bit how it goes.
Yeah, I don't think I'm ever gonna do a video this long again. This was exhausting, but yeah, this show has been a big part of my life for the last couple years, and I'm very let down by season 4. So that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching.